Hello and welcome everybody to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. I am your host Etchy. Today we have a world record recap special. Our runner Headbob here has gotten world record in Alpha Sapphire any percent fairly recently. So he's going to do a little run through here and talk about that world record run and hopefully put on a good show with this one as well. I'm very excited to see it. Headbob is one of the best 3DS Pokemon speedrunners out there right now. Has world records in a bunch of the different games. So very talented and skilled runner here. Super excited. So I think I'm going to throw it to Headbob so we can go ahead and get started.
All right. Thank you very much, Etchy. Yeah, my name is Headbob. I'm going to get the run started really quickly because there's like a minute right after this run starts where nothing happens at all. So let's just jump into the run. Start the run in 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah. Everyone, my name is Headbob. I hold the current world records in Pokemon Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, X, Moon, and Ultra Moon, basically all the 3DS games. And I got the Alpha Sapphire record about a month ago. And with me today to talk about this run and that world record, I have Ekman Larson.
Hello.
And Tucker Larat.
Hello, everyone.
And Etiquette.
How's it going, everyone?
All very established 3DS runners and other games as well. So we're going to be talking about Alpha Sapphire today. So, Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire are the remakes of the Hoenn games, Ruby and Sapphire. And they were released in 2014, which is now 9 years ago, which is crazy. And so we're going to be getting Mudkipz as our starter soon. Which is like actually kind of the hardest part of the run, is to get a good Mudkipz. So I have a backup prepared in case we don't necessarily get the stats we want. We're gonna pick the girl here first of all, because the gender that you pick changes the genders or the natures of the Pokemon on your rival's party that you're gonna fight later on. So it actually matters to pick the girl. It is better to pick the girl mostly because on the second rival fight, you get a more favorable damage range on one of the pokes. Amongst other things, but we'll talk about that more later in the run. So we're gonna be introduced to the truck here. We're gonna set our options. All of those make battles go faster. It makes attacks in the overworld go faster. Just provides a more speedrunnable game, I think.
And even before the run, one of the things that Headbob has done is set his date to... Which date did you set, Headbob?
I set it to February 15th.
Okay, so February 15th is a date where on one of the routes it does not rain. The time that you set doesn't matter. So all you need to do is just have a good date so that you don't lose a little bit of time later. All these are done in advance before we start our run.
Yeah. Usually in Pokemon games, the date or the time will matter a bit more. Even if I picked like a random date, rain only loses like 2 or 3 seconds. It's really not that big of a deal. But because it's faster, we do it. So.
Yeah, and I think the way that it works is like the weather on that route is like on a 4 or 5 day cycle. So even if you picked a random date, you actually could just stumble upon one that has no rain. That's actually how this date was found. People would run X, Y, where you set your day to Valentine's Day, and then like when after those runs would switch over to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire and found that there was just no rain on this day.
Very interesting. I don't think I knew that.
I didn't know that it's set to February 15th because like in XY you use February 14th.
Yeah, I think it was Wartab would switch to Oras when like just didn't have enough time to do XY runs and just found that it randomly worked.
Wow.
I think I was wondering about that at some point. Like,
Yeah.
that is it coincidence that it's 1 day apart?
Yeah. A couple of like either maybe like a couple years before that, maybe it was just a few months, I manually had to find one to run Torchic, because obviously if you're running a fire starter, you don't want rain on one of the routes. But stumbling on it is a much better way to do that.
Yeah, I've been having some issues. I've just been doing like some runs of Alpha Sapphire recently, and I've been mixing up like the date that I've been using for no good reason. Like I shouldn't be doing that, but because I have been, I've been choosing a different year, and apparently that also affects like if I get rain or not. I'm always surprised, by the way, when I see rain on the route. So it's my fault, but we don't really know what changes the weather, but we do know like a date that works. So
Yeah.
as long as you do that, then you're
I
fine.
think after we found that, we just kind of stopped looking into it. We're just like, okay, these are just the dates that we're going to use, and that's it. Because again, it
So
is not that important.
Looking like this Mudkipz here has a good special.
Yeah, so
Based on the damage rolls that Pebbob just did to Puccina.
so what used to happen was pretty much like 2 years ago or something, pretty much every single runner was checking their stats at level 5. But me and a couple other runners we just came to the realization that it was like, hey, you don't get much information from checking the stats at this level. We should just wait an extra 3 minutes and just get a lot more information without the time loss. So that's what we decided to do here. So the backup that I made is a bit further into the run to resemble kind of what the sessions would look like if I was doing PB attempts to this game. You would never check your stats there, even though you get information quicker. Just because, like, the only thing that you can really tell is if you have minus attack or really bad minus speed. Everything else you kind of have to wait till level 6 to actually get a good gauge on how good or bad your Mudkipz is.
Yeah, I forget the exact numbers, but it's something like, so it's like 42% to get a runnable Mudkip in the end, but something like 75% of them, or even closer to like 80, look runnable at level 5.
Yeah.
So you basically just don't eliminate anything.
Yeah.
And part of the requirements that are set on the Mudkip are you need at least some decent attack, about like 10 IVs out of an available 32 IVs. Also, not the bottom-most defense, not the bottom-most special attack, and same as speed. So basically, everything besides special defense has to be at least decent to be runnable.
Yeah, so as a result, you're really looking for natures like Naughty or Rash. Naive is pretty good in this game. Yeah, just like minus special defense doesn't really actually matter that much. So, like the best Mudkipz generally end up being that. So we're facing our rival for the first time here. He has a Trico. In previous games, you'd still be using Tackle with Mudkip, but because Tackle is a much better move in this game, it becomes 50 power and 100% accuracy in Gen 5 Plus. So this fight becomes a 3-shot instead of what would have been a 4-shot in Gen 3.
I think Tackle is 40 base power in Gen 6. Nerfed it a bit.
Alright,
Is that runnable?
that is runnable. We have
Nice.
Nice.
Gentle
Go back to
Mudkip. And actually, I already knew that it was minus defense because I got rolled 4 by Trico's, I think Pound it uses, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It normally does.
It normally does 3
damage.
every time to non-minus defenses. So just like that, you can get a pretty good gauge. Minus defense in and of itself isn't unrunnable. As you can see, we're taking this one. But you need to have the upper half of IVs for minus defense. So in this case, 17 IV or higher for it to be runnable.
And you're usually not very happy to have like minus nature on the defense and bad HP. You're not usually very happy about that, but it's doable. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I also saw a +2 on your special attack as well.
Oh, that's good to know, actually.
Yeah. So pretty much all these early levels, we do a lot of IV tracking. So we basically check our stats at every level up, or at least a subset of the stats, and then we plug them into an IV tracker that'll give us the more like granular, like all 12 attacks, for example, aren't the same. So it'll give us the more granular values that we can then use later on in the route. And you're pretty much looking at +1 or +2 to every stat in the early game. So you can, instead of like seeing each individual stat, you're kind of looking for, or at least the way I do it is I look for those +1s or +2s, just as an easier thing to try to recognize. You can get +0s in speed, which are very sad when it happens, but more so in this game than in Omega Ruby. There are going to be some differences between the two games that we'll probably mention. But the speed is a lot more important in Alpha Sapphire.
Absolutely. So we actually have gotten no encounters up to this point, which is not a very common thing. Typically, up to Roxanne, you're looking at probably like 3 or 4 encounters on average. There's a lot of different opportunities to get encounters when you go through all this grass. Each encounter loses about 15 seconds. So you want to, especially on like PBA world record attempts, you want to be limiting them as much as possible. I will say in my world record, I got a 21 Roxanne, which is, I'm not exactly sure how many encounters it was, but to get a time that bad, it had to be at least 3 or 4. I think I was just taking it on a whim because I just wasn't on a run in a while. But typically you want to have as little as possible, like 1 or 2 is a pretty good run.
Another level up.
Max
+2 and
Max special
defense. Kind of
funny.
Special defense, you get hit by like 3 special attacks in the entire run. It does not.
Yeah.
Or at least in the Mudkipz section.
Yeah.
Low tag, rare encounter. 4%.
I've done so much Omega Ruby, I was like, wait, you can find low tag here? It's one of the version exclusives.
Same.
Something a little bit weird about this first route is we were just introduced to the deck snap function. There was like a tutorial to it. We just walked by it. We didn't really need it. When you finish that trainer with that Zigzagoon, you'll always get a dex nav encounter that's a C dot in Omega Ruby and a low tad in Alpha Sapphire. Pretty much on the first tile, it'll always be that every single time, which is not very common. You won't see that really ever again. Just kind of interesting, I guess.
I'd never noticed that.
We've been theorizing about the deck snap, mostly Headbob, because Headbob does a lot of deck snapping for his alternate runs. We still don't really have a full grasp of how it works, but it's gotten to the point where we can use it for to make a lot of alternates work in this game. Pretty cool. But besides that, in this speedrun has no utility at all.
Yeah. There was a point I remember where some Japanese runner was like trying to make Swellow the fastest route. And there was like some traction with that for a little while, getting like a high level Swellow and using Guts Facade the entire run. I don't think that's been looked into very much ever since then, but it is a pretty good option.
Yeah, really. So my time with this game was sort of like the gap between the initial rush of people running it when the game first came out, and then there was a big resurgence in like 2020, 2021. And throughout my time from like 2016 to 2020, I don't think anyone was really looking at it. I do know that times got down with that route to like, on old timing, like around a 310, I want to say.
Yeah, which is really good.
I think IMAX got that, so like it had some traction for sure.
So in keeping up with the lore of this game, there isn't much, but we have our friend Wally here who just trying to catch a Pokemon. He's wants to become a trainer. So we have our dad Norman give him a Pokemon so that he can go catch this. Something interesting about this tutorial is that while there isn't actually really anything you have to do besides mash, like you have to hold the button and mash the buttons even though there's nothing really happening that's relevant to you, which is kind of annoying. It would have been nice to just go take a break or something, but I guess that's too much to ask, right? Yeah, so that's like there aren't many like actual breaks for most of the run, at least for the first couple hours, at least organically.
Yeah, and the mashing in this game, depending on how you approach it, can be kind of a hassle. Generally, the fastest way to mash is to either hold A or B and then mash the other one. Because if you're holding a button, text will advance faster, and then you obviously want to mash so you can clear the text boxes. One of the options that Headbob set at the beginning was L equals A, so you can actually hold the L button instead of holding A. They act as the exact same button, which also can come into play, because if you're holding one, you can't actually tap the other. And then a lot of runners will like hold L and then mash B and actually mash the touch screen as well. Because that will also advance text. So it can be a little intensive on your hands, but a lot of people do have like pretty good methods to keep their hands healthy doing it.
I will say though, I found my method is very different than most people's methods. I pretty much like don't really touch L at all. I'll have my 3DS like on a desk, like like a flat surface, and then I hold B and mash A in the touchscreen. It's a very awkward setup, and I think most people like hold their DS in the air and they'll hold the L button and mash B in the touchscreen, or something like that. But I mean, as long as you're mashing rather quickly, it doesn't really matter as long as it's comfortable for you.
This is actually one of the scarier fights in the game. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, including Poochyena using a sand attack on you, which lowers your accuracy, and from there, a lot can go wrong. It can also use Howl to increase its attack and make all of its hits scary. But luckily, Headbob has hit through all of them. I don't think he got sand attack very early on.
He got sand at the very end, actually got one.
Yeah. So he only had to hit through one inaccurate tackle.
Yeah.
So that was a little scary because Headbob's defense on this kit is pretty subpar.
Yeah.
That Pooch can do a lot of damage. Luckily, it didn't get to the point where it's like doing over half. So it's like futile.
If you get to that point, you're heal loop because the trainer has kill AI. So if he sees that a move can KO you, he will use that move. So yeah, if it uses Howl too much, you will just be stuck in a heal loop. But fortunately, it didn't happen.
Alright.
Yeah, so
there was a spinner. That spinner you have to pass twice, and generally easy to pass as long as you're not rushing it. You just run by.
Yeah, pretty much every spinner in the game. There's a lot of like spinner setups in previous Pokemon games. In Generation 6, it's very easy. All you have to do is just wait for them to look away, and then you're free to pass them. You have plenty of time.
Yeah, and you can run. You don't have to worry about like walking like previous generations.
Yeah. We're gonna get Echoed Voice here. Echoed Voice is arguably the most broken Pokemon move in the game, just considering how powerful it is and how early you can get it. Any Pokemon like that you use that learns Echoed Voice by TM will probably end up teaching it for a speedrun, because it is just incredibly powerful. It is a 40 base power normal type move, and each time you use it in a row, it adds 40 to the power, up to a max of 200. So you can get some really powerful hits off, especially before you have access to X items to boost your power. It's a really good way of getting a lot of damage in quickly. And we're going to be teaching that to our Mudkipz in a little while.
Not going to be too useful for the rock gym.
Yeah.
Good thing Mudkipz learns Water Gun early in this gen. We don't have to reach level 10 for it.
Yeah. The pre-manip strat in Sapphire just mud slapped this Geodude 7 times.
It is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we're fighting one optional trainer here. We're going to fight one more later. And the reason we do this is because there's a very scary fight coming up. I'll leave a little bit of the information for that trainer for the future, but we want to get some extra experience so that we can actually reasonably beat this trainer. because it is a very scary fight, as is, even with the experience. And as you can see, that fight was very easy, just water gun. Some of the Geodudes have sturdy, this one always will not, so just a one-turn fight, decent experience.
Yeah, the trainers in this game are actually kind of interesting because basically from the beginning we've known like the levels and like how many IVs that the trainer has, like all the stats, but we never knew the natures. Like the natures weren't part of any research that was done. So there was a lot of work a couple years ago to like literally, use like a Game Shark code basically and master ball the trainers Pokemons to get the stat information.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
Before it was just a lot of like guesswork, just like accounting for all different natures potentially for your damage rolls. It was very, very wonky, I must say. I only got a +2 in defense.
Yeah, so interesting fight here. We actually intentionally trigger the sturdy on Geodude, so that way Roxanne uses the potion on the Geodude instead of the nose pass. So now with bad defense, you kind of have to play this fight a little bit safer. But ideally, you get 2 Torrent hits, Torrent being Mudkip's ability where you get 50% more power if you're at 1/3 health or lower. So it looks like we should get that second Torrent hit in here, and that should guarantee the kill.
All right, perfect.
Nice.
Could have certainly gone a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That crit was scary.
Yeah, it gets even scarier when like you're actually dead to crit. Crits in this generation deal 1.5 times the damage that a move would normally do, and it happens at a rate of 1 in 16 times. So, in like a marathon setting, you probably the runners like play around crits, even though they're rare. By having higher HP than a crit would kill from.
And because of the reduced damage, it's a lot easier to play around those crits. In older generations, if you're playing around crits, you really have to like jump lots of hurdles in order to be able to tank like double the amount of damage that you would normally take. Only 1 in 16 at the time.
Yeah,
so it's a lot
we
easier
mentioned
in
that
that
crits
respect.
suck. Crits suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not great.
And even in like the newer generations where they're 1 in 24 instead of 1 in 16, because they're so much rarer, they're so much like less in your mind. And so when a bad crit happens, it's even worse. Like, you kind of expect it in a game like this. But.
Yeah. So
Fancy a little movement here. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
As you're talking about, crits, bad. So the second Geodude has sturdy on this fight. This is another optional, by the way. And so as a result, it's going to be able to get a turn on us. It only has 1 attacking move, which is rollout, but it would have killed with this defense. So I healed on the first Geodude to avoid that potential. And also because we're breaking sturdy with Mud Slap, which lowers Geodude's accuracy, it's even less likely to die on this fight. So typically in PB and world record attempts, you will see almost every single runner just YOLO this when you're in range or rollout.
It's like 18% to get hit on this Geodude by rollout in total. But it's not that crazy to risk it.
It's a little more because Geodude, the 4 moves that Geodude has is Defense Curl, Mud Sport, Rock Polish, and Rollout. Rollout is 90 accuracy in itself, and it's random which move it picks on any given turn. So 2 of those moves are completely useless. If it picks Rollout, then it picks Rollout. That's a result. And it's 18% to hit from there because you use Mud Slap to lower its accuracy by 1 stage. And if it picks Rock Polish, then it gets another turn on the Mudkipz, so it can roll out again.
Oh yeah, I thought 18% was the total, but then it was just accuracy for rollout itself.
Yes. Yeah.
Got that mixed up.
So we finally taught Echoed Voice. Already explained how Echoed Voice works. And we also combined that with the Repel, and that's going to last us to Rustboro Mart. So we're not going to get any more encounters on our way there.
And we also taught Rock Tomb.
Yes, that's right.
Did I min roll? I think I min rolled.
Look like very bad rolls.
Oh, that's not great. Actually, it doesn't matter. This is Alpha Sapphire. So in Omega Ruby, so I just got a +0 in speed, as Etiquette referred to before. In Omega Ruby, they're like all the speed thresholds you really need for your Mudkip are all kind of concentrated in the same like area. Like one you need maybe 3 IV, and one needs 5, and one needs 9, and one needs 12. And so when you have 12 plus neutral IV speed, you basically have all the speed you need for the run in Omega Ruby. But because of Alpha Sapphire, Archie has a Sharpedo instead, the boss of Team Aqua. And you need a much higher threshold of speed to outspeed it. So, like, it's fine if you don't meet that, but like, the incentive for speed is a lot higher in this game compared to Omega Ruby.
Yeah, and actually teaching Rock Tomb is one of the first differences that we see between Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. In Omega Ruby, you don't necessarily need Rock Tomb in some cases, but mainly in the case where you're outspeeding one of the grunts Zubats. You just opt to not teach Rock Tomb, and it saves time that way. But in Alpha Sapphire, you definitely really want Rock Tomb because of a Pokemon called Carvana. Carvana has Rough Skin as its ability, which makes it so that if you make contact with it, then you take damage. And for a Pokemon that deals a lot of damage like Carvana and is pretty fast, Rock Tomb checks all those boxes for dealing with Carvana. The only problem is that Rock Tomb is 95% accurate, so it's not perfect. Rock Tomb, by the way, is 60 base power, rock type, physical, and if it hits, then it lowers the opponent's speed by 1 stage. So it's just really good for dealing with Carvana. By far your best move. Oh.
Oh wow.
That is an accident.
Ball swipe.
Yeah, so what you just saw there is a diagonal talk. In Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, if you press A next to anybody and you're like diagonally adjacent to them, then you will talk to that trainer. It's not the case in even an older game in the same generation, X and Y. That was accidental. He was just trying to talk to you.
We don't actually need to ball swipe to catch our Pokemon.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah, I've done that way too many times already, so it happens very easily.
You actually do not catch a single... no, that's not true. You catch one Pokemon. Let's stop myself there. But yeah, you're not weakening a Pokemon.
You don't go out of your way to catch anything.
Yeah. So I'm sure all of you noticed by now that I entered that mart to buy some things. That's not what actually happened in the world record that I set last month. I use a different route that involves not buying repels there, not buying super potions, and instead getting a super repel that's on the ground in this town coming up, and then skipping an item later that we sell for money, in order to save a little bit of time. It adds quite a bit of risk on the scary fight that we're going to come up to soon, as well as the Team Aqua Grunts in the next town. That's probably the major difference between the two routes.
Yeah, that was actually, so both routes, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, used to do basically what Headbob's doing here, where you do the shop here, and you pick up the money item later. Omega Ruby, a while ago, basically went away from that mart and was able to start skipping that money item, and Alpha Sapphire basically never would, until pretty recently, like Headbob was saying.
Yeah, it's all about assessing risk, and at world record level, you can opt to do these riskier strats. In Alpha Sapphire, that risk is like amplified by 3 times. I would guess because of the fights that are in the museum and how Alpha Sapphire differentiates from Omega Ruby. They're just a lot worse. We'll get to there when we get to there. But having these extra super potions is really nice.
Alright, look where we are. We are in Brawly's gym. We were just fighting some random trainers to get to the gym leader because the gym leader is by far the scariest fight in this gym, of course.
Of course.
And definitely not this Machop right here that can just totally chain kill us, for sure. Easily the hardest fight in the run.
Yeah. If we don't have echoed voice, I honestly don't know what we do here.
Oh my god.
Well, that's, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was exactly a 1 in 3 to pick low sweep, a 1 in 16 to crit.
Yeah, so that didn't look too bad because, Headbub didn't die there. But the problem with this fight is that you need to get 3 hits off consecutively of Echoed Voice. Because if you heal while chaining Echoed Voices together, then that power of Echoed Voice resets and you will not be able to kill the Machop. Yeah. And Echoed Voice times 3 is still a range with some Mudkipz on Machop, most Mudkipz actually. And it's really bad if you either miss the range or Machop chooses some bad moves.
Okay. Ooh, good crit.
This is good. Yeah, any critical hit guarantees this range. Yeah, and you do not die from critical.
Yeah. The Machop has Foresight, which does absolutely nothing, and it has Focus Energy, which makes every low sweep after it a coin flip to critical hit you. And you die to two low sweeps that don't crit you. So, yeah. And especially with bad defense, bad HP combinations, it's just an atrocious fight.
Headbub was almost basically guaranteed to die in 2 low sweep hits, which is why bad defense and bad HP combo is just very scary. It's very likely a death run.
Just a very messed up fight. Those combinations of moves, it's got very few win conditions and a lot of lose conditions.
Yep.
Yeah. And the funniest part about it is so the natures for the trainer's Pokemon is effectively random, like we were mentioning earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And that Machop happens to be bold, which means it is minus attack. If it was just normal attack, this fight would be unwinnable for us.
Yeah.
We'd have to fight extra
trainers. I mean, I will say that is kind of canceled out because all these trainers in this gym have 24 IVs out of 31, which ironically is far higher than what the gym leader Brawly has, which is 0 across the board. So even with the minus attack, I think it's probably stronger than the Machop that Brawly has coming up, which is very funny. I think it was a coding error or something.
Yeah.
Gave the gym leaders all really bad IVs, which was very interesting.
Yeah, so we used an Ether on Echoed Voice to restore some of the power points. As you can expect, the move you have to keep using consecutively, you're going to go through it really fast.
Yep.
And we still have quite a few, actually 2 main fights left that we want to use it on, this one included. So using that. We also unequipped the Silk Scarf. We didn't mention the Silk Scarf, but basically it's a held item that increases the power of normal type moves by 20%. So it makes our Echoed Voices even that much stronger. We purposely don't want it on for this fight because we don't need it, and it would just be more likely to knock the Machop into heal range. And actually not having an item on is beneficial for a fight after the next town. So.
Now that Echo Voice has built up twice, this Makihira should die in 2 or 3 hits.
That's heal range, unfortunately. Doesn't really matter though because we don't have an item on. Brawly is very disincentivized from using its really only good attacking move, which is knockoff. You pretty much will only see bulk up or sand attack without an item on, unless you're in range of 1 arm thrust worth of damage, because that's how the AI in this game works. So this fight generally ends up being pretty safe unless you take a ridiculous amount of damage from the Machop.
Yeah, that leading Machop is much less scary than Hideki's Chop. Simply because of the moveset that it has, like Karate Chop is not that bad, Bulk Up is not that bad since you're hitting it specially.
I like the bulk up into seismic toss combo.
Yeah, it's very huge.
So here, using some repels that we bought earlier, there is a super repel as Hip-Hop mentioned earlier, but since we already bought it, we don't have to go get it. So that's part of like what makes the PP up skip, or which is what the money item is. We would be skipping the PP up skip, like not that much faster, but it is worth it for like very top level runs. But not necessary at all in a setting like this.
Yeah. Part of the reason why this is like so crucial for Alpha Sapphire, along with the museum, is because like specifically in the Hideki fight, as Tucker said, you can't really heal in the middle of the echoed voices. But if you miss the range, the damage range with the 3 echoed voices, you can afford to heal with super potions after that, and then you can win the fight a decent amount of the time. Otherwise, you would just die. You would not be able to win.
Yeah.
So having as many win conditions as you can for fights like that is like very important for getting on runs.
Yeah, especially because like we've already mentioned, you know, Mudkipz 42% to be runnable. There was the forest pooch fight that was dangerous. Roxanne can go bad. The pooch fight in the tunnel. Like there's so many fights in this early game in this first half hour, even up to 45 minutes to be honest, that can just kill your run. And so just having the most opportunities or the best, you know, chances to win is just going to get you more run.
Especially in this game, since the part we're coming up on the museum is way, way worse in this game.
I always forget about it. It's just so free in Omega Ruby.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally a joke.
So free that we looked into how to make the fight, or this part of the game, a little bit faster, but sacrificing a little bit of safety in that fight just because it's so much easier in Omega Ruby.
We're going to talk to this random tuber girl. She's going to get us the soft sand. One of the only good items in the entire game that you can get for like a held item. It happens to be matching the type that we are, which is ground. Well, I guess we're not ground yet, but it boosts the power of ground type moves by 20%. We're going to become a ground type in like 5 minutes when we evolve. Again, that's like about that and the metronome and the silk scarf. That's about it for like good held items in this game, quite honestly. So we're very lucky that we can benefit from things like that with our main.
And Mystic Water also. But yeah.
Yeah.
And person berries.
It is kind of funny how Mudkipz gets echoed voice, is ground and water type, and the 3 type enhancing items that you have like the easiest access to are the normal, the water, and the ground one.
Kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah, so these fights here, we've been kind of joking about it. These fights are an absolute pushover in Omega Ruby. In Omega Ruby, you're fighting Team Magma, who have Nummels. And Nummel is a ground fire type, which is quad weak to water. So either 1 shot or, you know, a clean 2 shot. And they can't really do much back to you. So you really don't have to worry about them. These Carvanas are absolutely no joke, though, in Alpha Sapphire.
Alright, great.
Right.
Perfect. Good.
So Carvana gave Headbob a free turn with Focus Energy. I think you were about to say that, sorry.
Yeah, basically, like, when you're doing PPF skip, the route and the world record route, you're almost kind of banking on Focus Energy there. Because when you get Focus Energy, it basically means if you hit both your Rock Tombs afterwards, it basically means you're not really going to have to heal in these next 2 fights. But if you get Assurance, which is the other move it can use, you get put into like a range where you can die to a lot of different things. And these, like on any of these pokes.
Crit for crit.
This is like kind of scary because I'm dead to bite crit, I think.
Much rather not get 2 crits there. Like, if both Mons didn't crit there, then it would be a lot better. But yeah, Carvana Focus Energy, just always want to see it. Because it has Bite, and it does like almost half of your HP. And then it has Aqua Jet, which is a priority move. So if you're at low HP and you're facing Carvana, then it will automatically like go for the Aqua Jet and try to kill you. So you have to heal a lot of stuff that can go slowly if you don't get Focus Energy.
Now we have Marshtomp. Very important you don't press B there. I think a lot of runners have done that at least once. If you press B and don't evolve, you cannot learn this move, which is a very crucial move for a good chunk of the run.
Yeah, especially like the very next fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You need the ground typing.
I think the next type is kind of like maybe more important than Hideki for the reason why we like fight the optionals in the beginning. Because if you're not ground typing for this Plusle and Minun fight, then you can get just like annihilated by Spark on both of these next 2 pokes.
Yeah.
And then this fight just becomes a nightmare.
I was gonna say it's kind of like a compounding thing. Like you want level 13 for that fight, so you can get 16 for this, and then you hit 18 in the middle of Rival 2 at the perfect time as well.
Yeah.
And it just like it keeps going like that. I think there's another one later on, like you get 25 for at least in Omega Ruby, you get 25 for the camera up on Maxi.
Yep. Same thing for Torpedo. Everything just kind of works out in these kind of routes. They take a lot of different thought to optimize them fully. So we're about to go shopping a lot. Slaveport, which is the town we're in right now, weirdly enough is one of the only towns in the entire game to sell X items, which is kind of like the crutch that most Pokemon speedrunners use for their runs in order to make a bunch of fights easier. I gotta sell PPF, not used to that. Like, if we didn't have any X items, we probably could get by with Echo Voice, but like, a bunch of the fights just become much trickier and slower.
Yeah, it's also worth mentioning this is the final game, actually, in the series that has the X items only giving you 1 stage when you use them in battle. So starting in Generation 7, when you use an X attack, it'll increase your attack by 2 stages. Here it's only 1. Obviously the route takes that into account, but you're going to see some fights where you're using, or you could potentially be using like a lot of X items. Like specifically, I can think of one fight where you have to use like 7 X items, and that would just be unheard of in a Generation 7 plus game.
At least they're like cheap. In Gen 7 Plus, with some exceptions, they not only do they raise the effectiveness of X items, they like double, triple the price of most of them, and it makes it a lot harder to be able to afford a lot. But thankfully, even though they are 1 stage, we can afford a decent amount here with the money we got.
But to be fair, in Gen 7 you also get a lot of money, like from your mom in the early game, so you can still afford a lot of X items, even though it's early in the game.
Starting Sword and Shield, your mom gives you 30k. All right.
Very reasonable thing to do. Frankly, I got 30k in my bank account when I was 10 years old too, so we're the same.
Is that why you have 5 world records?
Sure. Let's go with that.
Have enough money to at least get a 3DS for the capture card. They're very expensive.
They are very expensive. Part of the reason why people don't run these games that often, because they are very good games otherwise. Would definitely recommend them.
I think I'm like one of the only people who started out on emulator and then switched to console.
It's a very viable option, because the emulator is not that bad right now.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. Until recently, emulator just was not an option. Like, we just didn't have it on the boards. It wasn't very good, but now it's still, like, we still have split categories, but it is an accessible option for sure.
So yeah, with the ground typing and Mudshot, we kind of just trivialize these fights. The worst thing that can happen is we don't kill either of these in 2 hits, but you're never in really any danger. You can't actually take damage in this fight, believe it or not. At least in Gen 3, they had quick attack to damage you. Just can't do anything in this game.
Yeah. You can either take 0 damage or gain 10 or 20 health. Those are your options because of the item switching moves.
Yep. Both of them carry Oran Berries, which gives an HP if you're below half health. One thing to mention about Mudshot is that it's very similar to Rock Tomb, in that it is a speed lowering move, and it's also 95% accurate. But it is special, and it's 55% base power, or 55 base power, not percent. And it's ground type, so it generally does more damage for a few mons.
Yeah.
But we're actually getting our most spammed move of the Mudkipz section very soon, but we have this Rival 2 fight, this lovely Rival 2 fight to deal with first.
Yeah, so the reason why I saved for this fight would otherwise be kind of free, because we can just afford to just fully set up on the Slugma. But because my special attack isn't quite good enough, and I was unable to afford an extra X special, the Grovile's a 13 and 16 range to die, and after that is 1 and 4 to kill us. So it's not actually that likely to die from here, but I put up the save just in case.
The worst thing that can happen on the Slugma is when it uses Ember and then burns you, and it's like you take a lot of damage, it's really slow. That's just very, very bad to
No
see.
jinx.
It did happen.
Yeah, on
No-
any
no
given
worries.
turn, the Slugma is 1 and 4 to pick Ember, and Ember is 10% to burn you, so low chance on each turn, 2.5%, but can happen, and it really makes the fight slower.
We give it 7 turns to attack us usually, so
Okay, got the range.
Nice.
nice.
13, 16, I'm guessing?
Yeah, 13 and 16.
Yeah. And that Pokemon right there is the primary reason that we pick the girl as the trainer. The Grovyle there is a rash nature, which means it's plus special attack but minus special defense. And since Echoed Voice is special, that's sort of our way through it. If it wasn't minus special defense, we would either set up more, or there is another strategy you can do, not recommended, where you set up on the attacking side and use Rock Tomb. And you basically 2-shot the Grovyle. It's a lot more like the Generation 3 strategy for this fight, where you 2-shot the Grovyle. But Grovyle can literally 1-shot you from full in this game, so it's not really what you want to do.
But
The only
luckily,
saving grace for that strategy is that the rival still has random AI, and Grovyle only has 1 move that can one-shot you, which is Mega Drain. Grass-type move that's quad effective on you. One of the strats that is implemented in the world record route, aka the PP up skip route, is that you actually set up a lot differently in that fight, where you only use X speeds and you skip all the X specials. And because of that, you have to hit each of Brendan's Pokemon 1 extra time. So you're giving that Grovyle an extra turn. But you do this because it saves on money. Because you don't have to buy 3 X specials.
Yeah, it's the exact same amount of turns, but it's, again, at least since you give Grovyle a turn, and you also give Whelmer a turn, which can also kill you sometimes if you're low HP, it is a lot more risky. But skipping those items gives you the money you need to be able to afford skipping the PP up.
I did not know that. I like that strategy. That's really cool.
But the problem is just like every run is 1 and 4 to die.
Yeah, of
Just
course.
straight up, yeah. So while we were explaining that, a couple of things happened in the overworld. We picked up a revive for marathon safety, in case we die. We also picked up a bush of leopard berries. It came with a patch of 2 pecha berries. Pecha berries are basically like ethers, but they're berries. So they're nice to have. They restore power points. We also just got the Mach bike, which is the faster version of the bike. It's actually fairly easy to control. It's not that hard at all. and we bought the TM for Bulldoze, which is the spammable move that I was talking about earlier. It's a physical ground type move. It's a lot like Mudshot, but it's physical, it's 60 base power, and it's 100% accurate. So it's like, it's a lot better. And it comes off of attack.
It's just Gen 3 Mudshot, but just better in every way. Like, it's more accurate, it's more powerful. Since Mudshot was physical in that game, you would spam it pretty much everywhere you could. We don't have to do that, which is really nice.
Going to be considerably our strongest move from here on for Marshtomp, considering that we have Soft Sand. So it's effectively a 162 base power move after multipliers are applied.
When it's super effective, right?
Oh,
18,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
On 18.
Yeah, so 60 times 1.2 times 1.5. 108. 108 is...
I want 8.
This is very powerful.
Effective base
very
power.
Good.
And of course, it's quite nice that we get that immediately before the electric gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gen 3 has to sweat a little bit on this gym because a lot of things have Sonic Boom, Mudshot can miss, etc. But you literally there's just nothing that can happen in this gym. It's like completely free.
Yeah, I think the only thing that is potentially an issue ever is, I want to say, on the Watson fight itself, if you have like the worst runnable speed, it is possible for the Magneton to outspeed you with after the X speed. So in that case, you just skip the X speed and risk the Supersonic typically. Supersonic only being 55% accurate, so you're pretty likely to still get through the fight. But if you have even like okay speed, this gym is just completely free.
The bar for speed in this game is like, for like the important fights where it matters, is like pretty low. Even though there's like, what you want is higher, like what you need is like not that much.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, the range of speed obviously is from 0 to 31 IV. And as long as you're neutral, you're pretty much good with anything. It might be just like confirmation bias or whatever, but I swear you have to worry about some of those low speeds far more often than you actually should. like dancing around that 8 to 9 IV speed for Norman, I swear happens like every other run for me.
Yeah, I would agree. But it's just, I don't know, feels weird. I think that it is way more likely.
One of the most disappointing things that can happen at the start of this game is you see that you have a runnable Mudkipz, the speed is like, it's acceptable, but then on the level 7 level up, you get a +0, and that makes it so that your speed is like potentially not even good enough for Rival 2, where you're using 2x speeds to outspeed Grovyle. Things can get pretty messy from there. So even though like you get a runnable Mudkipz, it's not actually like that good.
To answer a quick question in the chat, does this game have RNG manips? No. The 3DS games are like technically possible to do it with if you can figure out what your seed is, but it's just not something that's even possible in some of the games, and it's not RTA viable for sure.
Yep. It requires information that the player is never given access to. Like in Gen 5 and Gen 4, you have access to like different indicators, indicate where your RNG seed is. There are a lot more tools that go into like finding your RNG or whatever. It's just not even possible without any sort of like custom firmware.
Yeah. I think it's like technically doable in Gen 7, I want to say, because there's some weirdness with the load screen. But it would lose time.
Yeah.
That's how long it takes.
It takes a long time to figure out your seed you're on, and it's just not worth it.
Yep, so we have the good old-fashioned 2014 Pokemon speedrun experience.
And that actually kind of makes it so that these runs are like nice for beginners, because like at the very least, you know, like you're not like, you don't have that much of an upper hand on, you know, the top runners. Like everything's like random. The encounters, the stats, like all that is it's a toss-up.
I would say Omega Ruby is like the most beginner-friendly run to get into.
Yeah,
Omega
I
Ruby-
agree.
If you're considering between these two games, if you find you like this run to watch, definitely try Omega Ruby first. This game is pretty brutal at a top level, especially. Actually, speed.
I think you're
you
speed
did.
tied.
Yeah,
Must have speed tied, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the speed tie range is like quite large, like from the teens. They are speed
Yeah.
tied.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Omega Ruby, a good game. Very consistent. We're gonna,
Like-
like in the middle of the game, we're gonna get a different Pokemon. We're gonna use that for a little while. Horrible Pokemon, really bad. Don't use it ever. Really needs good stats to like actually do what you want it to do. Unlike the Omega Ruby version of it. So, one of the biggest selling points for Omega Ruby.
All right, here we have a Rock Smash Boulder. We have to
I have
teach
to
Rock
scroll
Smash.
down there. I have to scroll down there because I have False Swipe.
Oh no.
Time save calculated. But yeah, we're also gonna put on a Super Repel, and we're gonna keep chaining these. The thing about Rock Smash is that when you smash a rock, it has a 1 in 3 chance to be an encounter, like that, which is very awesome. The Repel does not avoid it. You do just get owned if you roll that 1 in 3. It can also be an item, and then it can also be nothing at all.
Yeah,
Definitely the worst to get an encounter here.
Yeah, you have to go through it once, and depending on your movement after this section, you might go through it a second time as well. So it's just a 1 in 3 chance to just lose 15 seconds.
Yeah. Which is really bad considering how far in the run we are.
Yep.
Just to have
Yeah.
that level of randomness is like so painful.
It lends to some of the most variable splits in attempts for this category. But yeah, in this round, we are going to come back to that same rock, and we're going to have to smash it again.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we don't get a second counter.
So coming out here, we're going to pick up Persim Berries here. Persim Berries are an item we can equip onto our Pokemon, and it will heal confusion. So if we get confused, there are quite a lot of Pokemon in this run that can confuse us. And in fact, at least one case where we want to get hit by that confusing move, for reasons that we'll explain later. So that's definitely a big pickup. Omega Ruby, you can actually pick up a second set of Persims just because you need them like for that much more.
Yeah, it makes the both the Maxi and the Archie fights in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire respectively a lot nicer, a lot cleaner.
Depending on your stats, this Bagon can go for move Dragon Breath, which is a special dragon move, and it has a 30% chance to paralyze you. Things get really, really, really ugly if it does paralyze you, but it's pretty rare. Especially if you don't have, like, a lot more defense than your special defense.
Yeah, it's like one of the only fights where your special defense potentially matters. It's not guaranteed to go for Dragon Breath, but it feels like it's more likely to go for it when you have bad special defense.
The reason why it's so scary is because the Pokemon after is Makuhita, and it can do a lot of damage with the move Force Palm, and even knockoff too. But yeah, it favors going for Fake Out, so you usually just use that turn to set up an X attack and one-shot it.
Yeah. The one saving grace is if you do get through that fight while paralyzed, you got a free heal right before the fight, and you actually get a free heal right after the fight. So, if you manage to get through while paralyzed, you're good going into the next one.
But we also picked up a full heal before Rival 2.
Yes.
So it would have been fine. We could have managed
true.
to get through.
Forgot about that. Good point.
What do you say when you're excited?
Yay!
Yay!
I'm so happy. Nothing cheers me up more than Mr. A Rune here being planted in the middle of my speedrun.
Incredible cutscene.
Yeah, and Sapphire just he's a guy standing next to a tree, just whiz by with the mock bike. Hello, goodbye.
Yeah. So now it's time. We're going to make our way toward Fowlerbor. And we're actually going to get to bypass a trainer that is notoriously bad in Generation 3. You didn't get to see her. She was off the bottom of the screen. But you really have to make sure that you're right up on the top of the screen. So that way you don't trigger that battle.
Yeah, she has a Roselia. Grass type's bad. That's it.
Yep.
Well, one of the reasons why Marshtomp is even better than all the reasons we already stated is we basically don't fight any grass types in the entire run. So it's not really scary for a lot of fights to die. It's mainly just the rival.
Yeah, I don't think we really touched upon this. Oh wow.
Wow.
That is a tough range to get.
Wow.
With
That
most
was a 1 in
attacks.
16 range, I think.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
Nice. But yeah, as I was saying, the main reason why we pick Marshtomp is because, or Mudkipz is because of all these advantages that it has over Trico, which is a grass type starter, or Torchic, which is fire. Just has like a much better start of the game, and then like Water Ground is a really good typing. Water tends to be like the best type to pick in a lot of speedruns. It's just a
It
really
covers a
good
lot
type.
of things. It's really good.
Yeah.
Another
Followed by
upside is
fire.
there are like also the HM moves, and there are like 3 water type HM moves. So it's usually good to have a water Pokemon in your party. That's another reason.
Yeah, the Mudkip is going to slow. It's already started. The Mudkip is going to slowly turn into our HM user.
Yep.
We already have Rock Smash, and by the end of the run, it will have 4 HMs taught to it.
Poor little dude.
Yeah.
He's putting in good work, though. Appreciate him for that.
Hitting that Trapinch range. That Trapinch range is one of those, even if you have the best possible attack, like it's still a range, technically. It's like a
It's
15 and
ridiculous.
16.
14 and 16.
But
max attack.
it's 14? Yeah.
Great to Iron Head. Alright. Yeah, this Aaron has Protect. Very annoying. Double Protect! So awesome.
Not great.
Yeah, that second Protect was only 1 in 3 to work. Because it was used consecutively.
Wait, I didn't know it's 1 in 3. I always thought it's 1 in 2.
I think in this generation it's 1 in 3.
Could be.
Yeah. Comet Shard. A lot of money from the Comet Shard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that, yeah. I had a feeling that angle looked bad.
Oh, good.
That guy is 1 tile up. So you have to really line yourself up.
I would say the hardest movement in the run. And like very scary if you mess it up, because you will probably hit the optional. So better to go safe and just dismount the bike sometimes.
Yeah. Couple spots like that in this section of the run. There's like a lot of like movement, and there's some trainers that you have to like set up so you can pass by them cleanly. It's nice that we have the D-pad to work with, because it provides like a tile-based system that we can consistently pass things on. So being able to rely on that sometimes is really, really nice.
Yeah. Generally, indoors, the 3D movement, like, it's like turned off, so we tend to use D-pad indoors more often.
Double snarl, wow. Not very likely.
Really take it.
Typically you see swagger at some point from that Mightyena. little bit unusual for not.
It's really bad to see Swagger, so it's a good thing we didn't see it.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this fight is because it's a double battle where you're facing two actual opponents, like they each have their own team. So even though there's 3 Pokemon, the Carvana will never come out on the left side. So you never have to worry about having like the Carvana and the Mightyena in a position where like maybe you're confused and you've just, you know, in a bad way. You at least, once you get rid of the Grimer, you're basically a 2-on-1 battle.
So we beat the people at Meteor Falls. This is not even a fight for Ruby and Sapphire. You just kind of just go through here, take a cutscene, and just move on. But we fought them. We're gonna get warped back to Mauville after this, and I'm gonna get an X defend behind, like I had hidden X defend. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because my HP and defense combination is so bad that even with an X defend, I'm not gonna be able to tank Norman's slackings, retaliate even like from full HP consistently. I think it's a 14 and 16 range to kill me or something like that.
Oh my god.
Or no, I have them flipped. 7 and 16 still not good.
Yeah.
Definitely don't want to risk that on the last turn, or like one of the last turns.
Yeah,
That
it's
fight, yeah.
it's one of the main reasons why we can't take bad defense. Not Norman himself, because you can always just fix it with the extra X defense, but the trainer right before Norman often does like about 90% of your HP, and if you have really bad defense, then like you're just super likely to just die in one hit. And you cannot like boost your defense because it's like the gimmick with that trainer is that it always critical hits you, which ignores a stat boost.
Even with this defense, I'm probably gonna end up saving, honestly, because like there is still a chance that I just outright die.
Yeah.
It's not very likely. It's probably like a 3 or 4 and 16 range if it chooses the right move.
Yeah, we picked like a good cutoff for defense, like so that we don't have to deal with super atrocious defensive ranges in that gym. Okay, here's the item. Kind of hard to pick up.
It's a square tower.
tower.
All right, so another big shopping trip. Here we're gonna get hyper potions. Hyper potions, this is before they were nerfed, so they heal up to 200 health. Obviously, we don't need 200 health, but we will later on, so those are really good. Some full heals, definitely necessary, and then max repels. And then from basically the next grass we go to until the end of the run, we're gonna have our repel up and just be constantly refreshing it. Just because now we have the money, especially with that Comet Shard that sold for 15,000.
Alright, here's the rock again.
Okay, nothing this time. Oh wow.
Yeah, this move is
Yeah.
very tricky. There's one tile you have to go through. Otherwise, optional trainer.
So what happened there was I didn't properly line up with the rock. So if I had gone straight up, there was a chance I would have bumped into either the wall to the right or to the left of the trainer, or the trainer herself, and potentially could have been seen by her. But I didn't want to risk that, so I just got off the bike.
Yeah, the game does not restrict you to tiles unless it wants to restrict you to tiles, which will sometimes happen if you bonk into stuff. You can get caught on corners, so it's definitely better to play it safe like that.
So one of the upsides of Alpha Sapphire is generally this fight. I think people have generally said that this fight is like, or these couple fights on Mount Chimney here, are faster on average, which they definitely are, because we're fighting Grimer instead of Coughing. Coughing is Levitate, which means we can't hit it with ground type moves. This first grunt has a Grimer. We're gonna just one-shot it with Bulldoze. The second fight, however, the IVs are a bit higher, the nature is not as forgiving, so we're going to have to use an X attack, and Grimer can do some really silly things to us. So while it is faster if it goes well, it's very easy to get trolled, so hopefully that doesn't happen to us. But this fight is just easy. We just quick pull those twice and we win. So yeah, so Shelly, who's like the second-hand woman to Archie on Team Aqua, is guarding Archie here, and she has some upped-up Pokemon. Her Grimer has Disable, Minimize, Mud Bomb, and what's the last one? I don't remember.
Like a sludge or something?
Yeah, Sludge, yeah.
What?
Minimize, not great, really bad. Especially in this game, it upped its evasiveness by 2 stages instead of 1, like previous generations. Okay, we get Disable, which is perfect.
Beautiful.
But yeah, if you get Minimize, it instantly becomes only 60% to hit your move, which is obviously really bad. And this will get a turn on us, but it can't really do anything substantial. And then on top of these 2 fights being like better, I'm putting in air quotes, Archie's Mightyena coming up has Intimidate and Omega Ruby. It has Quick Feet in this game, which means we're gonna have to do a little bit less setup. It's kind of like offset by the fact that we have a Sharpedo to fight and it's faster, so we end up using another X speed instead. And this is part of the reason, like, because we have Rock Tomb and we wouldn't necessarily have Rock Tomb and Omega Ruby, we can afford to do less setup and still be able to one-shot all the things we need to one-shot. Because in Omega Ruby, you'd instead be using Strength, which obviously weaker against Skullbat.
Yeah, and then you could keep Rock Tomb up to this point, but then you're losing turns on the previous fights because of the coughings and everything. So. But yeah, the main gimmick here, what we're really hoping to see as we do our first setup turn is a Swagger. Perfect.
Yeah, we get double Swagger. Not particularly likely to kill here. In Omega Ruby, that was a crit. Wow. Okay.
That's right.
So this Mightyena has plus defense, unlike Omega Ruby. So you can actually kill this in Omega Ruby at +4. Because you can't really do that in Alpha Sapphire, we kind of usually would play the fight differently. You like hold those to weaken it. Couldn't tell you why I did it this way. I don't know, but if you don't have 1 Swagger, you really need at least 1 Swagger in order to do the fight as normal. You don't want to weaken the Mightyena, because when it's damaged, it's much less likely to use Swagger, and so the fight just becomes longer and longer. Thoughts on doing the break, like in a couple, like when I get access to my controller again? You can do the break?
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. Alright, so I'll count down when I get access to my controller again, and then we can take a little break. So yeah, Archie's been defeated, Maxie and his crew come to... I don't really know what they're doing. They wanted the meteorite, and they came too late, so I guess unlucky for them, but...
Should have been faster.
That's alright. Okay, so we'll take the break in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Cool. All right, everybody. We're going to take a quick little break before we resume the rest of this run. Don't go anywhere, because a lot more Alpha Sapphire action from our world record holder Head Bob here coming up after our break. Before we go to that break, though, I have a couple announcements. One is that GDQX will be live from TwitchCon, October 20th through the 22nd. And if you're interested in running live at the event, use !GDQX in Twitch chat, or go to gdqx.gamesdonequick.com to submit. There's a shorter timeline than normal on this because the event is in 2 months. So if you're interested in speedrunning for that, please submit as soon as possible. Anyone who's accepted as a runner or backup runner will receive a free TwitchCon badge and the opportunity to showcase their run on the GDQ stage. And then also another event coming up soon is PAX West. So GDQ will also be there as well, September 1st through the 4th. If you're interested in watching live runs or try your hand at the Speedrun Gauntlet, be sure to head over to the Speedrun stage at PAX West to find out more. So yeah, we'll be back in just a few minutes. Make sure you stay tuned, and we'll be back with more Alpha Sapphire shortly. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. We are doing a world record recap special with Headbob here, who recently got the Pokemon Alpha Sapphire 80% world record. Talking about that run while he does another run for us right now. We're in the middle of it. So I think I'll just throw it right back to Headbob so we can get right back into the speedrun.
All right, thank you very much, Archie. Yeah, so we just beat Archie and we're continuing our way through the Hoenn region, so let's just get right back into it. I'll count us down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So I'm doing a menu here. A few things I need to do before the next section. Mostly because I had to unequip my soft sand to put on the person for the last fight. Had to put it back on, and then we're running low on bulldozers, so I had to use a lava berry on that. Effectively, that's it. So we're gonna get to Lava Ridge here, where Flannery's gym is, and we're gonna whiz right by a karate guy who, if we talk to him, would give us Swords Dance. One of the differences, I guess, between Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire is Groudon needs that Swords Dance TM. So we would lose a bit of time there if we were running on Omega Ruby, but we can just go straight by it in this game. So we're just going on these little wooden pedals up and down. Throughout the gym, there's a couple spinners and walkers that we gotta be careful to dodge. Obviously, optional trainers lose lots of time, 45 seconds to a minute or even more. So we don't want to do that if we don't have to.
Yeah, there's also 2 sets of bubbles. We just saw it in that last room, where there's a ninja boy hiding in the water. So if you're within a tile of them, they will jump out at you. And it's just another optional trainer. So that's why Headbob went pretty far up or pretty far down to avoid that.
Oh yes, there are many upsides to running Omega Ruby over Alpha Sapphire, but we do play Alpha Sapphire because we consider it different enough in the speedrun community that it deserves a separate leaderboard, and it certainly does have a lot of differences. Yeah, we've all run Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire here. Very different games.
Especially after the half point of the run,
yeah,
really different after that.
Before that, and I mean even throughout the mid to late game, Team Magma and Aqua play a factor in their differences, but the differences don't really shine until you get Gulati and then Groudon and Kyogre. Really makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and almost every difference, the edge goes to Omega Ruby. Not every difference, but almost every difference.
Alright, so we got a fire gym here. For a lot of pokes, as someone who's done a lot of different alt mains in this game, this gym is really scary because Flannery's TM that she'll give to you afterwards is Overheat. It's really powerful. It's a 130 base power move that will kind of outright kill a lot of different Pokemon that come here. But because we're resistant to fire moves and we can do a lot of damage to them, this is kind of just a breeze.
One thing that we've so in addition to alt mains Headbob was mentioning, the community also used to do wonder trade races where you'd basically trade for a random Pokemon with somebody else in the world, and then do a run using that. Let me tell you, going through this gym with a Leafeon not one.
Yeah.
This fight,
Back. That's a good format.
this was actually a second fight where we needed Mudshot for earlier. We thought it for Plasma and Minen, and we needed the special move for Torkoal because it's very bulky, physical. So we need Mudshot to KO it in 2 turns.
Yeah. Actually missed one of the mud shots there, but Torkoal's not too much of a threat. Only if it, like, body slam paralyzes you. It's... Other than that, it's fine.
Yeah. Like I said, Overheat usually does, like, half of your HP maximum ever. And then every time you use Overheat after that, it becomes less and less powerful because it lowers its special attack. So, never really an issue.
Pretty big downgrade at Torkoal from Gen 3. In Gen 3 it
Yeah.
had Attract, which is really scary. Attract, by the way, that we're gonna experience right here. The delicatity that we're gonna see from this first trainer here really favors going for Attract. It can also sing, but both of them are quite bad. Attract makes it so that you're 50% to be mobile on a given turn. You have to be opposite nature to get Attract, but
Yeah, Mudkipz is 87.5% of the time male, so usually it faces this issue considering Delcatty's female. There's our Attract.
get through.
Mobilize, okay, doubled up is not that bad, especially 2 turn. Doubles up again.
Yeah. On any of these turns it can sing, and
Double slap.
another double slap.
Any of these turns,
Probably
you can also
healing.
not be immobilized. It's just, this is yeah.
Yeah, not great. It's just a 50-50. You just gotta hit it. Not really any way around it.
This time, right? Unlucky.
What's
Oh,
happening?
What did the sing?
a sing miss. That's actually pretty rare. Okay. Oh my goodness. I was gonna say that sing is 73% accurate to hit because of the X accuracy, but it's the second time.
Hey, cool.
This-
Again, I guess.
It's quite bad.
Good thing we still have our super potions.
I feel like you still have a lot of super potions.
I have 2 more, yeah. I didn't really use any. There we go.
There we go. Okay. I also got the range. That is a
Yes.
range sometimes with lower attack. Yeah. That fight is not really ever supposed to go that poorly. Just saying. That was a
Generally-
lot of missed coin flips.
Yeah,
We'll do
generally,
this.
it's better to have a male Mudkip because you can just win the coin flip on the first try and you just get the free 3 turn and you get damage less, don't have to heal. But it can also lead to disasters like we just saw.
If you
with-
are a female Mudkip, then Attract is off the table. So normally you deal with like Sing, which is more than 50% to lose a turn for you. But it doesn't get that bad because you can just heal off your sleep condition. So bottom end is way better.
This
Yeah, we're
this
good here.
Lanoon here is kind of an interesting fight. Basically, one of the moves it has is Covet, which will steal your held item. And if it covets you, then you no longer 2-shot it. So you kind of have to do chip damage in the middle. Because the gimmick in this room is that he's going to heal if he gets below 25% health. It can also bestow the soft sand back to you, which can be trolly as well. But yeah, that fight, there's no great way to get through it. Just sort of the best we have.
So like I said, I'm going to save for this fight. This is the Zangoose we were talking about. His trainer is going to use a Dire Hit on him, which makes all of his moves at least 1 and 2 to crit. And he also has Slash, which is guaranteed to crit after a Dire Hit. But I think only the move Revenge is, when it crits, is eligible to kill us with this defense. But it is a range to kill, so... Wow, we actually got it.
Okay.
Holy
Yep.
moly. That was not very likely.
Yeah. It first had to roll the 50% to get a crit, and then get a pretty decently high roll to kill this Marshtomp.
Good thing we saved, because even though we have a revive, we can't use it because we only have Marshtomp.
Yep. Very good call. Very good call here.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be too punishing now, but the keen-eyed of you in the Twitch chat might have noticed we have not entered a Pokemon Center yet in this run, and we're not going to for a very long time. So if we were to die or wipe out, we are going to end up back at Mom's house. Right now, it's not too bad. We're only 2 towns away. But if we had like a death on Mount Chimney, for example, that's really bad.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Almost
A game of
again.
margins.
Again, it has to be clicking. It's completely random. It has to be clicking revenge to even have a chance to kill. And then also has to roll the crit and get the damage roll.
With especially bad defenses, you can die to another move that it has, Crush Claw, which is, or not Crush Claw, Slash, which is increased critical hit move. So because of how crits work, it's guaranteed to crit after the dire hit. So if you're just dead to that, then it's like pretty hopeless. You get fear.
So this is probably the second worst fight after Hideki. Just because you give the first Slacking a lot of turns to potentially crit you, and especially with this defense, crit will definitely kill us from full. So we just have to, we give it probably like 5 turns, maybe because of Truant. And if any of those crit while he's using Retaliate, we'll just die. So good fight to save on, for sure.
We don't have
Get
terrible
lucky here and
defense.
there with a few of the setup turns, because blocking sometimes just doesn't attack. It goes for like Encore. It usually goes for Encore only if you're like faster than it. And you're not faster yet until you use the XP.
Nice little status lag.
Yeah, status lag. If you're status, then the animation can sometimes mess with when the move, the turn order is executed. We don't know why, but it happens. Yeah. But the idea here is to go plus, sorry, what is it, 4?
4, yep.
Yeah, plus 4. Luckily, you know, Slacking's gimmick is that it has the Truant ability, which is like basically a nerf to its busted base stat total, where it can only move every other turn. Really debilitating for it. Yeah, the setup is complete. There's only 1 turn left that can go wrong, which is this other Slacking's first turn, where it can choose Retaliate and deal almost full HP.
Yeah, the average Mudkipz would probably be like 1 or 2 in 16 to die and Retaliate, in which you kind of just bite the bullet and just take those odds. But because mine was so high, it was kind of a no-brainer to defend again. So I have no risk of dying to either of these moves without a crit, but if I do get crit, I will die for sure.
Oh,
So we're good.
yeah. I always think that this Slacking has crit me, just because of how fast the HP bar goes, but Chip Away is a move that ignores defense boost, so it ends up being like just as strong as Retaliate in this case.
And that's Norman.
Norman is down.
We did it,
We're
crit.
done
Let's
with
go.
the Marshtomp section, or well, most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more pretty scary fight, or like somewhat scary fight. Can definitely go wrong still.
I was thinking about this. It's not really a great place to save for this fight, because the cutscene right before it is like very long.
Yeah.
It's pretty unlikely to die if you actually like are conscious of, you know, crits or whatever. You can just heal out of them and whatever, but It can go kind of poorly. Definitely another free fight in Omega Ruby because you can just, I mean, it doesn't really do much damage to you. And also because Sharpedo's on this battle, there's swagger on the table, so there's always that fun little coin flip with that.
From here on out, we will see quite a lot of Sharpedos instead of a camera.
Yeah.
So they are usually, or all of them are bad, pretty much. All of the way. Once we have face.
Yeah. So one nice difference between we've actually already seen this a couple times, but between the original games from Generation 3 and these remakes in Gen 6, your rival takes you back to like basically where you need to go a couple of times, and then Wally takes you here to Mauville. Back in Gen 3, you'd have to take the trek from Meteor Falls back to Mauville, or to Mount Chimney. You'd have to take the trip from Lava Ridge back to Petalburg, either manually or by using something like an Abra with teleport. But here, the game just kind of is like, hey, you want to go here? And you just say yes.
In this case, it doesn't actually give you the option.
Which is annoying in alt mains because
Yeah.
there's a rare candy in Petalburg that you kind of want sometimes.
Yeah.
Did somebody say candy circuit?
But I think overall, if we were given the choice between,
Yeah.
you know, not having an option and having an option, this is good.
Yeah, a lot of the most difficult movement parts in the Gen 3 games are those backtracking, long stretches of movement.
Yeah,
There's a
lots
lot
of
of-
different opportunities to hit optionals in those sections because you're just whizzing through routes.
A lot of backtracking because you just don't get access to fly for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this cutscene is completely absent in the Gen 3 games. Everything like this. Well, Steven does meet you, but there's nothing to this extent. Like, I think he just like kind of checks in on you. He's like, you have, you're doing okay. You got these badges or whatever. But here we're flying on a Latios to some random island we've never seen before. So.
Give us this one. Give us the blue one.
Take it and
Alpha
run.
Sapphire.
I think the lore is that well, Latios and Latios are like brother sister, and one of them is like sick apparently, and the opposite team is trying to capture it, I guess. I need your help. But yeah, this is just not present in Gen 3 at all.
This is the savior anyways.
It's locked behind the Eon ticket in Gen 3, which is like a event. Yeah, this game does quite a good job of making more things accessible, like these Lotties and Deoxys even. Deoxys is another mon that was in Gen 3 but locked behind an event. In this game, if you do the Delta episode, then you can get the Deoxys, just not mythical. Just a legendary encounter.
At least I was like, I was shocked when I played this for the first time for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
I mean,
this
I
new
wish we could show out the round 2 part because it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Back in 2014, it was very cool.
Slash is great here. At this point, we're really doing some damage to Sharpedo here. At this point, it's pretty hard for like me and Steven collectively to lose the fight. Because even if I die here, like I crit, the tank can likely finish from here. It seems like we're just gonna kill this turn and be fine.
I don't know if it's gonna kill us. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, it's still a
Right.
bullet punch, so.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, a nice thing about these battles, we call them true double battles, is you can still, even if your Pokemon faint, you can still win if your team wins. So it's obviously slower, but it at least can save a run.
At least Steven is not that powerful yet, for some reason. Only has the Metang.
Smurfing.
So we get Latias, unfortunately.
This is where it starts.
So, Latias and Latios are very similar builds. The only difference is Latias is generally more defensively built. They both have the same speed, but its attack and special attack are pretty significantly lower than Latios is, like 20 each or something. And so as a result, you miss a lot of ranges, even with like perfect special attack that Latios would just get with no problem. So this Latios generally has a much easier time in this next 30-40 minutes.
Yeah. To put into perspective, at level 30, which is what you get it at, if you have a Latios that's neutral special attack, the best you can have is 92. The best possible Latias, like plus special attack and everything, is only 88. So the best possible Latias is worse than a standard Latios because these legendaries come in with 3 stats that are guaranteed to be perfect. So you're pretty likely to have your special attack. It's like 50-50 for your special attack to be perfect. So we got a chance to see the stats here.
We got... alright.
3480. That's like
worse.
a decent special and good speed.
Really all you can hope for.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally, like I said, you're guaranteed 3 perfect IVs, so ideally you just get 31 neutral in both, and then you're just, for the most part, fine. We didn't quite get that, but, like, there's only so much you can hope for. Like, expecting 2 of the 3 31s to land in the stats you want, not necessarily reasonable every time.
Yeah, for large part, the stats that really matter for Latias in order are special attack, then speed, then defense and HP. Attack and SPDF practically don't matter at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of physical dark type moves that you use with Latios. There's a lot of Mighty-Enas, a lot of Sharpedos that do physical dark damage. You want to be able to tank those as best you can.
Yeah, and even though we're a dragon type, there is still a grass type that is also going to hit pretty hard later on. We lost our grass weakness, but there's a grass type that will still find a way.
Grass type with somehow no grass moves.
Yeah.
Not sure why they decided to do that. Yeah, so, I mean, you saw us, like, kind of cringing a little bit, the special attack there. For perspective, it's still 10 to 13 IV neutral, which isn't that bad. But, like, you're still kind of annoyed when you see that because, like, you're going to miss a lot of the ranges. It's kind of how it is.
Even with 31 IV, you would still need to hit quite a few ranges. So it's just not great to have less than that.
Yeah. Like, the worst possible, like, Latios special attack is pretty much what you see here with Latias. It's, okay, Snarl is pretty bad because it lowers your special attack because it's not going to die without a crit.
Okay.
That's good.
That's very good.
Yeah, and also seeing a Mighty-Ena at just about half health is going to be a pretty common theme. There's going to be a lot of Mighty-Enas that are like two-shot ranges that you just kind of have to hit through.
We have a Mighty-Ena kind of like that, except it's a Sharpedo, and it's like the same thing right now.
Except it has Ice Fang and not Assurance.
Yeah. Not great. Hopefully we get a good roll on this. Paralyzing is also very, very good. Yeah, that's not good.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow.
No.
Oh, jeez.
So we're gonna do this now.
Yeah.
That is real bad.
That is 10% to freeze.
Yeah. Also got a 10% to flinch, so I could have
okay.
also been bad. I think we can just have Marshon finish this, right?
Good try.
Oof. Yeah, at this point, Latias can, like, just be fine. It's at full HP again.
Yeah.
And we also outspeed again. So
Really?
Oh man.
It's not setting up for it?
Alright.
Okay.
All right.
That was not the recipes for success, but, you know, we got there.
Yeah. One of the interesting things every time I'm on commentary for one of these, I always make a point to mention one of the most interesting mechanics about Ice Fang is the 10% to freeze and the 10% to flinch are technically independent. So it is possible to get frozen, thaw out that turn, and then flinch.
Oh, that is ridiculous.
I've actually not had it happen, but I know it is possible.
Yeah, there aren't many moves like that where they're just like two separate effects, completely independent of each other. So we came out of that full fight somehow full HP, despite all the shenanigans that happened. So we're not going to menu yet. We're going to have to equip the Mystic Water before we get to Winona, and we got Mystic Water from that little cast form we just got gifted from that scientist. He's holding it. So we're going to use that for Latias to boost our Surf power. And later on to boost Kyogre's Surf power.
very convenient. We just get it. We have to get it. Like, yeah.
It is unavoidable.
This is the fight we were talking about before. If you choose the wrong date, you can get rain on this fight, which, again, not the biggest deal, but does save a bit of time to not get it. This is a damage range. It's a good enough roll, I think.
Yeah. Gonna choose to use Mistfall. Dragon Breath is just like a good move to start off with if you're like good at two-shot of Pokemon because it can paralyze. And that has its obvious benefits. And then Mistfall is just like Mistfall is 70 base power and Dragon Breath is 60. So just a bit stronger. Mistfall at this point is your strongest move.
Another interesting interaction that can happen because some of the Mighty Yenas are going to be like kind of 50-50 between Intimidate, which obviously doesn't matter because we're a special attacker, and then Quick Feet. It is possible to have like Dragon Breath paralyzes, but then you get hit with a Scary Face. So now because of Quick Feet, the Mighty Yen is faster than you. It's not a common thing or even something you really have to worry about, but it is sort of another interesting interaction.
Yeah, Quick Feet is an ability where Pokemon is status, then its speed is increased by 1.5 times. Even if it's paralyzed, which normally quarters your speed.
Yeah,
it is still boosted.
Yeah, but not necessarily really common in Latias because Latias generally outspeeds most of the things by default, but
if you want to know which ones have Quick Feet, then it's basically like if it has Intimidate or not. If it doesn't have Intimidate, then it has Quick Feet. Easy way to tell.
This was one of the first games in my PSR career that I dove into the routing side of things. So I still remember a lot of those like little mechanic things.
I imagine you discovered which ones had Intimidate and which ones didn't very much before the trainer data came out.
Yeah,
That seems rather important sometimes.
I definitely feel like it's more relevant, the Quick Feet stuff, for Latios. Latias have the same speed, but with Latias, you're definitely surfing the Mighty Yen's more than you're leading Dragon Breath, because while Surf is 90 base power and it's like tied in base power with Dragon Breath with Stab, it is boosted by the Mystic Water that you have. by 20%. So we often do need to surf twice on Mighty Ennis to at least go for a range to 2-hit, if not secure it.
Yeah, with Latios, you're really trying to limit the amount of surfs you're using, because ideally you can get through a lot of the section without needing to use an elixir. And so, yeah, it's the more things you can Dragon Breath, the better. Grass Knot here, this is a pickup for Alpha Sapphire specifically, which is going to get taught over Dragon Breath. Or might technically be over the other move, but either way, Dragon Breath is going away pretty soon, so you're going to have to be surfing everything.
Grass Knot is mainly for torpedoes, which is, as you saw earlier, can be really bad if you don't have a great move to hit it with and 2-shot. We absolutely need something like Grass Knot to hit torpedoes with.
Yeah, a lot of random spinners there. You just gotta pay attention, make sure you're not taking any paths that you shouldn't, and you will just never hit them.
It's just a question of patience, really.
Yep.
This gym, the next gym, and the final gym, all you can get through entirely without fighting any trainers. This game actually kind of drops off when it comes to like standard trainers. After the Meteor Falls section, you don't fight any non-evil team and non-story based trainers until Victory Road, actually. So it is a very, very sparse game when it comes to trainer fights. But of course that makes the ones that you do have to do just that much worse because you don't have the experience.
Come on. Uh-oh.
Yeah, so this wall is a problem. It has double team as you're setting up. All you need to do is hit one.
There we go.
Okay. I think that was like 4 double teams at that point. So like 43% to hit.
The Alpha Sapphire Elite 4 Round 2 record that I got last week misses like 10 surfs in a row and loses like 40 seconds there. So it can really be a problem if you just get unlucky with the moves.
The idea is just hit, because 50% is not safe. And that's all. But sometimes it likes to believe it is. This often protects, yeah. The way that like a lot of trainers' AI works is that if it doesn't have a move to kill, if it doesn't see a move that can kill, then it'll often just use like either the most damaging move or in other cases just any sort of like status move they prefer. Like you can get like a lot of protects, like Mean Look, Swagger, Scary Face. Those are the moves that come out if you're not at a fatal HP.
Yeah, we're talking about the torpedoes. Like some of them can be like really bad. There are like a ton of different safety strats in Alpha Sapphire in play to make sure that you can always get past the torpedoes. Like there's 2 different rare candies you can get coming up. You can Mega Evolve even for the torpedo. They can be like really threatening sometimes if you're not for 1 faster. That's not where you're supposed to go. And/or can like deal enough damage to kill it before you get killed.
Yeah, how about just pass a rare candy that's not normally grabbed in the N% route? There is going to be another before we get to Mount Pyre. I don't know if Headbob's going to grab it or not. It could guarantee like the mat fight, the range, but I don't think that's completely necessary because with this Latias in particular, the speed tier that it has, if you don't get the rare candy that's in Mount Pyre, then Latias will be slower than Alpha Admin Matt's last torpedo, which is not a good thing. You really don't want to be slower than that Sharpedo, but it is. You can outspeed it if you do get the red candy. So I'd imagine
I'm gonna be getting the one on
what's
top
gonna
of
be
the
happening.
Vampire.
Yeah.
Generally, you get benefited from it at 31 neutral IV speed, which is what we have here. Because you barely miss it with 31 IV neutral, and you barely get it with the candy. So it's and it also benefits my special attack too. So it's typically a good idea.
Yeah, it'll boost his special attack by not much. Because the increase in level that the rare candy is from 36 to 37. If it were from like 37 to 38, however, it would be much more of a substantial increase in damage because of how the damage calculation formula works in Pokemon. If a Pokemon's level is ending in 0, 3, 5, or 8, then it does a lot more damage. Nice.
Yeah, so a lot of the ranges that you are gonna see when you have Latias are just not good. Like even with 31 neutral we were talking about, this is an 11 and 16 range on that Grimer we just fought, and even that's considered one of the better ones in this next couple fights. Like most of the Golbats you're gonna see like 6 and 16 range, like at best.
Yeah. And these are super effective moves we're using too. Like it's not like we're just using Dragon Breath on things and just doing neutral damage.
That is
Wow.
That is awful.
I have 2 Vipers, oh my goodness.
Random AI, so it doesn't have to pick it again. Okay, good. We at least got to full HP.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Double
Random
swap.
AI.
Oh my God.
It's the other side of the coin. Oh no.
Okay.
Defense is not looking good here.
I just.
Okay, well,
Oh,
That's good.
Okay.
there's only so many things I can do here. I do have a revive, so that was my plan. I was going to revive if I died there. But I only have 1 super potion and 1 hyper potion at this point. So our shopping trip is coming up soon, so we're going to be able to get more shortly. But for now, there's kind of just have to bite the bullet a little bit.
I forgot super potions are only 50 in this game.
Yeah, in Gen 7, I believe,
Yeah.
they buffed super potions and like also fresh waters to 60 HP from 50, and they nerfed hyper potions from 200 to 120.
Okay, much better roll on that one.
As well as change the prices on them.
Okay, there we go.
Embargo is a move that disables item usage and also like nullifies held item effects. So because we're holding a Mystic Water, that takes away the boost for the second hit. So Embargo
Double
is
meanly.
effectively Embargo is effectively like a little special attack multiplier in their favor.
I don't think I really want to use... my other super, my other hyper.
Yeah, we're coming up on another Sharpedo here, so we're gonna teach Grass Knot before we forget.
I think I may just save, honestly, because this fight can go a bunch of different ways.
I would not blame you for that.
Yeah.
Kind of like the last one we did. There's like Scary Face, there's Swagger, there's Ice Fang. Pretty much the same stuff. Yeah, so you can just get unlucky. Luckily we have enough speed so that we can outspeed the Sharpedo just by default. If we weren't at the speed threshold, we would need to bring in Marsh Top first and bulldoze it so that we're faster when we come in. But we don't have to do that, so we can use Marsh Top as like a revive if we need it.
Yeah. And the thing about this game is that if 2 Pokemon are in battle, they will still gain like the same amount of EXP as if only 1 Pokemon were in the battle. It's not like in previous generations where EXP is split like evenly. Alright, what do we get here? Face. Oh boy. Okay.
Do I take that?
No.
Okay. Oh well.
It's fine. The fight is over. It's just you need a PC, and EXP is gonna be fine, I believe.
And it could even just revive.
Oh yeah. You can use rare candies to revive your Pokemon if they're fainted.
Or I could use my revive.
That's
Could do
also
that.
true. Yeah. I don't know why I said PC heal.
Because again, I'm coming up on my shop here, so even though I'm using the revive here, I'm gonna buy some more. So just in case like things happen later, it's not like it's a loss or anything. Yeah, so that Grass Knot plus Surf. In hindsight, it was a bad idea to teach over Dragon Breath because I didn't know Grass Knot plus Surf was a range. But it looked like I got a bad roll, so I just.
Yeah, Grass Knot's an interesting move. It's one of the few special moves that also makes contact. So you do have to deal with the rough skin there. It's also a variable power move. It doesn't really come into play too much in this run. But in some other games, the variable power moves, sometimes you just do a ton of damage because it's really heavy Pokemon. And sometimes you do like nothing.
Yeah, in a lot of instances in other Pokemon games, at least, it's like Grass Knot is a coverage move that hits like ground types or rock types, which are generally like heavier for a lot of damage, so it's good there. But for our case, we're just hitting like Sharpedos. Sharpedo's not that heavy, I believe. I think it's like 60 base power.
I think it's 80. I want to say it's 80.
I think it's 80? Okay.
Sharpedo also has like no bulk, right?
Yeah. So it's good enough for our purposes, basically. That's like kind of all we use Grass Knot on.
And the Wailord coming up.
Carvana is even lighter. We're about to use Grass Knot on that, but because that's so frail, that just dies anyways.
Makes me sad that you say it has no bulk and it still doesn't die. Grass Knot.
The two defenses are 40 base stat, and the HP is 70 for Sharpedo.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's so low.
Yeah, a lot of the reasons why we have ranges in the first place is because like level differences in ORAS. It's kind of weird. Like the trainers have a pretty decently high level Pokemon compared to us. Like they're mostly like higher level until the end of the game, and the fact that we're like switching mains quite a bit is also a hindrance, and also the fact that we're using legendary Pokemon. They have slower EXP curves, so that's also going against us. Yeah, a lot of the time we're just under level, even against like grunts.
Yeah, the curve jumps up pretty quickly, and because like Latias is slow experience, it kind of struggles to catch up. So usually you're under leveled. Good roll and surf. And we're hit again. So we're gonna fight two trainers back to back here. We don't have a break in between. So because I got hit by Assurance, I do have to be a little bit careful of the Golbat. I'm probably just gonna heal on the Golbat. Because it is not a very likely range. It is 4 and 16 to die. So expecting to get a hit from it.
What does it have? Like acrobatics? Or is it
No, it has like Poison Fang and Swift, I think.
Yeah, from here it like has a decent chance to kill if it goes for like Poison Fang. Hopefully get Swift.
There we go. Okay, that's good. I got a misball again. Doesn't really matter what I could have used Surf probably. Because we have the Elixir, unlike an Omega Ruby, we can be a little bit more lenient on PP over the course of this section. In Omega Ruby, you're basically just constantly trying to conserve PP.
Also, we picked up the PP Max for the Mistball. which we usually don't do in the run, but it's a safety measure, especially for the next fight. So it's also, you can use like a lot more Mystic Ball as well. Mist Ball, not Mystic Ball.
Sounds like a cool move though.
Yeah.
This is actually an optional battle in the original games. You would only have to fight your rival when you go to the department store, I think.
Yep.
But here, he stops you right in the middle of town, so we do have to do the fourth and, for the purposes of this run, final rival battle. And it's... Rival 2 probably is overall more dangerous, but this fight can be pretty annoying, especially in Omega Ruby, where you've got like a string of... in contrast to this run, a lot of easier fights, and then all of a sudden this one just hits you.
So the grass type in question we were talking about before is this Sceptile. It has 2 attacking moves. One is Slam, which is just a horrible move. I'm not sure who decided to put that on. And then it also has Dual Chop, which again, a very weird selection of moves. But against Latias, it actually is a threat. So. So yeah, we take a decent amount from it. Because Latias is more bulky, we're taking a little bit less than we would have if we had a Latios. I'm not exactly sure how much it does here. I might just heal anyways. Just to like gauge it. It usually detects turn 1 anyways. So we get that off.
Also going to be a range here. Oh, that's pretty good roll. Slam's
pretty solid roll, yeah.
Very nice.
I didn't notice that you got the PP max on this special. Yeah. A lot of the times, if you don't get PP max, you're out of PP here for Mistball, and then like you have to fly the Sceptile to kill it, and if it detects on the fly turn, then you just lose a bunch of turns. Happened to a bunch of us.
Seen it way too often already. The chain of fly to detect and just. Not
because like fly is a 2-turn move, and detect, like normally it's like punished if you use it consecutively, but you don't have to use it consecutively if you know that fly is coming down. It like Brennan doesn't know that fly is coming, but you know, if it goes for detect on every other turn, then it's just super troll.
I think my HP is decently high, so I can afford to not have to menu yet because I still have a Mistball. So, Golbat is, again, not gonna die, likely. It is actually maybe even not even possible to die without a critical hit. So it's gonna get a turn to hit us. And so by waiting until after Golbat, we can potentially consolidate menus to not have to heal as often. This one does have acrobatics, I know. Like the first one that does, I think. Could have done that way better.
Yeah, one of the differences between Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire is this place here. There's a lot more spinners in Alpha Sapphire. So a lot of trainers that we have to like wait to dodge compared to Omega Ruby.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's like it's the same number of mandatory trainers, but they're different because like every trainer that is a spinner in one game is a stander in the other. It just so happens that in Omega Ruby you can like walk around a lot of the standers. Where here, like that spinner in the first room for Alpha Sapphire, that's a stander that you just go underneath. So it ends up being, it's kind of weird, especially if you switch between the games, because also the base is like flipped. These rooms would be backward, left versus right. So it's definitely interesting when you switch games.
I guess this is fine. I was meant to elixir there, but I don't need a mist ball for a little while now, so.
Until C4?
Yeah.
Very likely to be able to combine with like at least dive. Very less.
So we're taking this massive detour right now because we need to get the Master Ball. We don't really have an option because even if we didn't want to use Kyogre, which Kyogre is really good, obviously, we would have to either kill it or catch it. We can't run from it. So, and killing it's like near impossible. It's a very powerful Pokemon. So we just kind of have to take the big time loss and get it, the Master Ball. I'm hoping that I level up after this horde, because I did lose some experience from the Sharpedo. I'm hoping
I think
that
it'll be enough, because normally you're like not even just leveled up yet.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Or you just hit 36.
Okay, so we're gonna end up healing either before or after TNL, I'm not sure. Or probably before Matt, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
So we'll do everything there, and do everything in one menu.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the section is just like seeing when you take damage, and then like kind of adapting your menus to heal as little as possible when you need the HP. That's kind of all this section is. Like, I mean, it's like hitting ranges if you can.
Yeah.
This fight right here is basically a check for if you have a multi-hit move.
Yeah.
Yeah, very weak mons, but they have like Sand Attack. So just one search.
They also have Roar, and you can just be there getting roared 3 times in the same turn.
Oh my god.
It is it's Wonder Trade races. They are fun.
I think like for Hebob's like Zangoose ult main, you have to like get the TM for Incinerate just to do this fight.
Now,
Yep.
my old route for there's a similar fight to this in the Delta episode, so the post game. And my old route for Omega Ruby, Elite Four round 2, would pick up Incinerate, because before we knew like the trainer stats, I didn't know if Earthquake would actually kill with the -5 because of Intimidate. So I would pick up Incinerate just to use it on that one fight.
So,
But yeah.
another one of the scary map fights. A little bit less scary than the last one because we actually do have a chance to one-shot it. Here it's not too likely, but because we got the candy, we're faster. It's only a 6 in 16 chance to kill. But we're more likely to get a good fight because we're faster than if we were just slower. You just can get just Ice Fang turn 1 and be forced to hit the range. We actually did get the range, which is really nice. Does save a lot of headache to get that range.
Or like at 6 and 16 only.
Yep.
Sometimes lucky.
Don't have to heal again.
Yeah, Tate Lines is a pretty easy fight in this game because we set it up in a way that you never really are going to get damaged on your Latias. So you can actually go in fairly low and still be fine.
So while we make our way over to Moss Deep, just to call back to your recent record run, how was the Latias in your record run?
So obviously, like, having a good Latias is very important. In my record run, I had 31 neutral special attack and 31 plus speed. And so what that does is 31 neutral obviously gives you a better chance at getting the ranges. Not nearly what you want it to be, but it's better. And 31 plus speed allows you to outspeed that Sharpedo without the candy. So I was able to skip that candy entirely. Save a bit of time. Oh, nice. And then it also allows you to outspeed some other things in the run that can be a little bit annoying. And then on top of that, I got a lot of the ranges that I needed to save time in that run. And when you get the ranges, when you get hit a little amount of times, you end up saving a lot of time in the mid-game over an average Alpha Sapphire run. So it's really what makes the difference sometimes, and it was definitely what made the difference in that run. Like, good Alpha Sapphire runs just kind of need good sections here.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those sections where like fights can go very standardly, and you'll in both games, really. Just with the amount of healing you sometimes have to do. Like, this is just like a standard fight, but you still are losing time. It's pretty variable just throughout this section. Some runs are just not meant to be.
Exactly.
It's just so much harder to get a good, clean Latias section compared to Omega Ruby,
Yeah.
which is why many people dislike this game. You get through the Mudkipz section 1.5 hours, and then you just see a bad Latias, and it's very likely to be just game over. Or, like, you lose a lot of time, very likely.
And Latios, on the other hand, cannot be like more different because pretty much any Latios like will do the job. Maybe like very bottom tier, like won't be good. But you know, it's so hard to like just suffer as much as you do with Latios. I mean, I'm pretty sure you just can't because of the absence of Sharpedos.
So yeah, this fight is free with like an asterisk. Technically, it's possible, like 99 point something% of the time, you're gonna get Solar Beam from Solrock on Marshtomp. But it is possible for Solrock to use Sunny Day, which makes your Surfs very much less powerful, and it draws out the fight by a lot. But it is very, very unlikely. Typically, you'll just bait it into Solar Beam. We get the standard fight there.
Yeah,
You really want Marshtomp to die in this fight because you want to have something that has HMs with you and when you go into Victory Road and is also dead, because there are some mandatory double fights that you'd have to do otherwise if you had more than one Pokemon. But you also need HMs in order to traverse through it, so it's like a balancing act.
Specifically, Surf and Strength, you need both of them.
Okay, we're gonna take a break now. When I get access to my character, I'll count it down. Alright. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Headbog. We're going to do one more quick little break before we get to the final leg of this awesome Pokemon Alpha Sapphire 90% speedrun. Before we go to that break, I want to make a couple announcements. One, I just said this earlier, but for anyone who's coming late, GDQX coming up soon. Live from TwitchCon, October 20th through the 22nd. If you're interested in running live at the event, use exclamation point GDQX in Twitch chat or go to gdqx.gamesdonequick.com to submit. Anyone accepted as a runner or a backup will receive a TwitchCon badge and the opportunity to show their speedrun on the GDQ stage. So please submit to that and note that it is a much shorter timeline given how soon the event is. And then also wanted to point out that Games Done Quick is hiring. So if you have any experience in social media creation and want to help out at our live events, be sure to go to gamesdonequick.com/jobs to apply. So we're going to go to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. A lot of exciting things happening in this last hour of the speedrun. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. We are in the middle of a world record recap special here. Headbob recently got a world record in Pokemon Alpha Sapphire 90%, so he's doing a run to celebrate that right now. We're approaching the last leg of the run, a lot of exciting stuff remaining. Before we hop right back into that, I want to remind everyone that your subs, your Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, bits, cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel, all help support the GDQ Hotfix. So if you enjoy the daily speedrunning content, please consider subscribing. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to press the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel. Also go to twitch.tv/gamesdonequick if you're interested in looking at our live content. And our YouTube for the Twitch viewers here is where you can also find all of our other Hotfix show VODs, past events like Flame Fatales, which just happened. That's all over at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. So, Headbob, why don't we start this last section off?
Thank you once again, Etchy. Yeah, we're almost done here. So let's just get right back into it and finish this out. 3, 2, 1, and we're back.
All right, we got one last fight here with Latias. Two last fights. We're nearing the end here. At this part of the game, it's like a lot of cutscenes. So
yeah,
starting here.
we're gonna fight Archie in about 8 minutes or so, and after that, we have a 20-minute split, like 18-minute split, where we basically only do one fight. It's just all cutscenes for the most part. We basically just like the lead up to catching Kyogre, and then fighting Wallace. That's just all 18 minutes. So most of the lore is located here.
Yeah. The nice thing is once that 18-minute stretch is done, you essentially are done with like the plot of the game, and it's just a matter of like finishing the last badge, going through Victory Road and doing the Elite Four. So it kind of actually picks up in pace again. After that, it is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, after you beat Wallace, you basically just go straight to Victory Road, fight a couple of trainers there, and then you're in E4. Not much to it. It's like I said, it really picks up. Like, even the E4 section, like, there's really not much in between.
So we got dive here? Oh,
Yeah.
You do? Go ahead.
Yeah, so Steven just gave us dive after some random earthquake that happened. Not really sure what that's about. Pretty irrelevant, probably. So we just got dive, and we're gonna go to an underwater cavern. That's Team Aqua. That's not what I want to teach that to. Is doing bad things. So that's our 4th HM on Marshtomp. We have one more that we're going to get later in the game, and we're going to teach that to Latias once we're done using it.
Technically, I think you could just do dive on Latias. Pretty sure it's fine.
Probably.
Could you? You
I mean,
need all 3 moves.
You have to surf Sharpedo.
Exactly.
You can teach. Oh, yeah. Good point.
Yeah, it is actually possible to use only one Pokemon with all of the HMs. After the stretch going from Mauville up to Mount Chimney, you no longer need Rock Smash for the rest of the run. So you could, if you wanted to, visit the move deleter in Lily Cove, delete Rock Smash, and then teach Waterfall to the Marshtomp. Obviously not faster than what we do here, but for some alt mains and for like Wonder Trade races like we were talking about earlier, that can be a strategy that gets used.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God there are no more rocks. Would be kind of awful.
God, imagine a rock that was like mandatory in Victory Road that you had to smash. It's just so
Not
bad.
my game.
Imagine if there was a shadow encounter that you would have to go through sometimes.
Oh man.
That would be
I
awful.
can't personally imagine that. I don't really know what you're referring to.
Me neither. Just a hypothetical situation.
Alright, so because I got the candy, I'm gonna be 38 for this muck here. It is actually a range with 2 mist balls. So, but I think it's guaranteed, or at very least like almost completely guaranteed at 38. And on top of that, Muck can really pack a punch here. If you are scary faced by Mightyena, or if you can't 2-shot this, you can just get Screech into Gunk Shot and just die. But Screech is perfect. We're plenty of HP for the next fight.
Got a puzzle with rocks. Flag boulder one time. Yeah,
Nice,
there we
let's
go.
Nice.
One-tile gaps are surprisingly difficult in this game,
Yeah.
especially on the bike, so.
Most people are I don't know how many people actually do this, but a decent amount of people opt to get off the bike and do that movement on foot, which is completely understandable. Can be super finicky and almost feeling random at times, whether you actually get through or not.
Yeah, it pretty much depends on like how fast you get by the 1 solid gap there. If it's just not working out, I'm just gonna get off.
So this fight is very interesting. A quirk with the AI is if it has good AI and it sees that it's faster than you, then it will spam speed reducing moves if it has it until you're not faster. So by knowing that, we can just use a guard spec, which blocks speed stat reductions, and we will nearly always just get scary face every time.
Yeah, for this fight, we're actually holding our breath here on every turn because it can go for a very cursed move that I will not say the name of yet. Alright, the move is Embargo. If it does go for Embargo, there it is! Which is like a 1% chance, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, the last special attack didn't go through, right?
It did. It did, but...
It should've.
I think you posted the
it's just...
once.
Oh, because it canceled the Mystic Water. That's what it did.
Yeah,
oh, that's... Oh, no, yeah.
That's a very neat situation.
Yeah. But yeah, if it embargoes at any time, like during the setup, this fight gets super ugly. Like, it's highly likely a loss.
Yeah, it's another thing that can happen in Omega Ruby, but Omega Ruby, it's just so much. Like, you just don't even worry about it too much.
Omega Ruby, you're often setting up like twice.
Yeah.
Guard spec and then next special attack.
There's like a funny strat you could go for if Cast Form is still alive after TNL. You can like switch to Cast Form, and if you buy an extra guard spec in the shop we did earlier, you can like set up everything again. But it's very slow, so I really don't want to do that.
So you probably don't recall where I used the rare candy, but I used the rare candy in a very specific spot. In my case, because I didn't even have enough experience to candy earlier anyways, but you would do it anyways, like in the normal route, because if you candy earlier, you will level up after you catch Kyogre coming up, and that's obviously time loss. So by losing experience intentionally, you skip the level up and save time.
Is it a move learn level up too?
It might be. It honestly might be.
I don't think it is. It's level 39.
It's 40.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
It's still not a move. It's still not.
Okay.
But that would be even worse.
I was actually wondering about that. I was confused why we don't candy earlier in one of my runs. Now I have the answer.
So yeah, from here on, Kyogre's going to come out of the water. It's going to cause a torrential downpour as we see here. Everyone's going to freak out. We're going to go to Sutopolis. We're going to go to the Cave of Origin, catch Kyogre. Everything's going to be good again. And this all takes like a very long time. So it's a lot of nothing for a while.
It's about 15 minutes until we can actually like start like moving past the lore of the game. I see it. Yeah, pretty long cutscene there, and then like we're gonna go to Cave of Origin, and then catch Kyogre with the Master Ball, and then there's gonna be a long 2-minute break.
Yeah, and that 2-minute break gives you a lot of time to worry about what kind of Kyogre or Groudon you just caught, because again, like we did with the Latios, like we're gonna get a completely random Pokemon. It's a legendary, so it's guaranteed to have 3 perfect stats again. But those stats could be distributed anywhere. The nature is random, so it's another one of those sort of stressful moments of I'm on really good pace. I really hope my Kyogre is a good one.
Thankfully, though, Kyogre is like a good enough Pokemon, and it has good enough moveset that even if you get a bad Kyogre, it's not the end of the world. Unlike if you get a bad Latias, where you just lose a lot of time.
Yeah. Kyogre has this weird thing where it has an ability called Drizzle, where it causes rain, and rain helps with its stab moves. Unlike Groudon.
Groudon cannot relate.
Can for one move, which he used twice.
Yep. Dude,
But yeah,
imagine
the
if
multiplier
Groudon had a...
Kyogre, insane.
Yeah. I was going to say, imagine if Groudon had a ground boosting ability.
I don't actually know if that would... I don't know. It would be a lot more powerful.
Actually, yeah. A lot of the setup we do is for moves like Strength to do enough damage.
Yeah, exactly. But some fights would definitely be way better, like Phoebe, for example.
Phoebe.
Yeah.
By the way, the music at this part of the game in Alpha Sapphire, way better than Omega Ruby.
Yep.
If there's one redeeming factor, it's this.
Hard to disagree, but okay.
Oh my.
Respectfully
How do you have
disagree.
Nobody sees the greatness in the Omega Ruby throughout team. Very sad.
We say this all the time, it's a good theme in the moment, but objectively, like, if you listen to it by yourself, you're like, wow, this is, like, not a very good theme.
Yep.
You can just perfectly bob your head to it. I don't know.
Or you're talking about the song.
Drought.
Yeah.
Yeah. The drought theme does a better job of, oh no, the world's ending. So obviously lots of cutscenes here. So generally speaking, between the two games, the Omega Ruby currently is faster by about a minute. It's a little under a minute between the two world records. The general stance for a lot of people is the two games have pretty comparable Mudkipz sections. I think Alpha Sapphire has a slight edge.
I think that's correct, but because Omega Ruby teaches like strength earlier on, like it appears a little bit differently.
Yeah.
They're pretty close. Anyways.
Yeah, and then Omega Ruby by far has a better mid section with the Latios versus Latias. And then the Kyogre versus Groudon section, Kyogre absolutely smokes Groudon. But it is at the cost. There are a couple of fights that are just a little bit more dangerous for Kyogre. Like there's one fight in particular, generally, if you're going for PB or record, which we'll talk about what happened on the record, then you go for a strategy that just has like, every turn has a 30% chance of just like ending it, depending on what happens. I guess it's less than 30%, but either way, there's a chance that you just lose the fight and lose the run.
Yeah.
So that chance doesn't exist in Omega Ruby. So Omega Ruby, even though it is slower from here to the end, is just you're finishing more runs.
Yep. Exactly. Thankfully, I mean, Groudon has Swords Dance, which sets up offensively twice as much as what Kyogre is going to use. So even some fights like Drake, for example, where Groudon doesn't really have a great type matchup, it can set up to +6 pretty quickly. So it doesn't actually like end up mattering all that much. You don't lose actually that much time. And with the time that Omega Ruby has saved in the mid game, that you definitely can just get by with a slightly worse end game and have like better times.
Yeah, the fact that Groudon has Swords Dance like sort of offsets the difference in like Drought and Drizzle, but
yeah.
Kyogre still has access to Calm Mind, which is okay. And it generally just sets up less. Like, it doesn't need to set up as much has better fights.
I think
Better
Kyogre
coverage.
starting with Ice Beam is kind of its saving grace. Like, it loses a lot of coverage if it doesn't have ice coverage by default. So yeah, I can get through like a lot of like grass types, dragon types, a lot faster than it would otherwise.
In the original Gen 3 games, Ruby Sapphire, Kyogre basically just like smokes Groudon even harder.
Yeah.
Like Groudon does not get Swords Dance. Kyogre even has Shockwave, which helps a lot for Glacia. In this game, you don't get Shockwave because you're given Volt Switch from Watson. But yeah, Glacia is like the fight that's the most scary for Kyogre because your coverage is not good.
If you really wanted to get 30,000 more Pokédollars somehow, you could go to Lily Cove Department Store and buy Thunder.
This is something I routed, actually, believe it or not.
I never routed it, but it was something I looked at briefly.
It's not very good. It doesn't kill enough things for it to be worth it, unfortunately.
Yeah. The other interesting strategy that was thought of at the same time was, I think it's in Alpha Sapphire specifically, because the one you get between the two versions is different, is catching Thundurus.
Oh.
Oh
I
man.
didn't think about that.
Yeah. Also not worth it, but
Is that the only legendary you can get pre post game?
There's a bunch,
I think it's the only one you can get like quick enough.
I know you can get like the Pixie Trio.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah.
A bunch of the trios are like unlocked. And you can get these by Eon Flute. Bit of a
Thundurus all
side
main
one.
one. So yeah, you see Kyogre's currently primal evolving, which is like a mechanic introduced in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. It wasn't in the original games.
Primal Reversion.
Groudon makes primal reversion. Oops. Groudon makes use of this mechanic a lot more, just because it's kind of what allows Groudon to not be hit by water moves. So it effectively has like no weaknesses. It also negates weather changes, so like you can't put up hail or anything. So we use it for like 2 fights in Omega Ruby. We don't use it at all in Alpha Sapphire, just because it's slower, but it provides a pretty decent bit of consistency that Groudon really could use.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about the like special weather that they have, because the weather can't be changed, they're like different than, like, this Primordial Sea is different than normal rain. But the AI like doesn't recognize it as being a thing. And so that's one of the things that really helps Groudon is like the AI will still spam surf because it doesn't realize that there's this sunlight that it can't hit through. Which is really nice.
There's 2 minutes here after this cutscene where you can't, like, there's nothing that's happening. You don't have to do anything at all. So people usually use this time to go to the bathroom or do something, and I'm going to do that right now. So I'll be right back.
It's a cool cutscene.
Yeah. So we just like order restoring to Hoenn. It is actually like exactly 2 minutes long. But yeah, not much to really do.
Rarely watched it ever.
Yeah.
It's like the first time
I'm
I'm watching
always
it.
like using it to. I'm always using it to do other stuff. But yeah, after this cutscene's over, we're gonna be teaching Kyogre some good moves. Surf as its main stab. Calm Mind, and then its other 2 moves are going to be Ice Beam and Origin Pulse. Origin Pulse is a new signature move that it gets in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. It's basically like Hydro Pump, but 5% more accurate. So it's like a bit stronger. It's sometimes used for things that don't quite die to Surf. So yeah, and then depending on what stats we get, if it's like not insanely good special, then we're gonna equip a Mystic Water as well. And then after that, we have Wallace's gym, and there's a fun little set of ice puzzles that you might remember from playing Hoenn games, but you have to basically do movement perfectly over some ice tiles, and if you mess up in a certain way where you fall through the floor, then you have to fight a bunch of optionals. So, we're gonna see how about theirs. And the cutscene's over. Yay! I'm back.
It'll be fine.
It's great because we can also run this generation on the ice puzzle, so it's even harder.
Yeah, even harder if you want to go speedrun mode. But often, people will just pause here and there to make sure they don't mess up.
Yeah, people usually will run for most of it, but they'll pause at the edges where you have to turn.
Yeah, the nice thing is if you do happen to mess it up, because the game allows you to move diagonally, there's a chance you can save it. Not every mess up can be saved, but there are cases where you'll go one tile too far and actually be able to save it still, which is nice.
I'm just going to answer a question from the chat. Is what happens if you feint Kyogre there instead of catching it? The game advances as normal, and you just don't get access to Kyogre until after the Elite Four. So you have to either catch or kill it. If you kill it, you don't get access to it on your team. If you catch it, you obviously do. That's about it. Makes no difference for the rest of the story.
It's kind of relevant in alt mains, whether you can kill the legendary poke or not. Most pokes can't. But being able to kill it does save you the whole excursion of getting the Master Ball. But that's really the only relevance in speedrunning.
Yeah. In Generation 3, you don't get the Master Ball because you can RNG manipulate to get the guaranteed catch. And so it saves that time, in addition to just giving yourself really good stats.
Yeah. It's pretty scary, though. If you miss the minute, you just lose a bunch of time. Good thing something like that doesn't exist here. Alright, right away, 158. That's one of the 31s in HP.
That's a lot of special attack and not a lot of speed.
And not a lot of speed, yeah.
A lot of special attack and speed.
Person berry. I don't have that on right now. I don't even have any person berries. Okay.
Yeah, you had to use it.
Overkill.
Did I not teach Calm Mind? I don't think I taught Calm Mind.
No, you did not.
Okay. I got so caught up. I'm just
Yeah, so 168 special attack, that is maximum, right?
Yeah, it's max.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so
what was this
31 IV plus.
81.
81. That is not 31
That
minus.
is really bad.
It's really bad, yeah. 99 is 31 neutral.
81 is 10 IV minus or something. I haven't put it in yet, but...
Actually, I have an IV tracker open. 9 to 13, look at that.
At least it's not 0 to 5, because that's significantly worse. Because you have to X speed for 3 or 4 more fights, I think. So as long as you don't have that, you are okay, I guess.
Is 0 to 5 you get outsped by Wally's Gallade before the Mega?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the Metagross, I think, and the Milotic, your speed type.
You speed... Alright, I did not know
no.
that one.
Oh.
Oh.
Damn. That's
Well,
not great.
I guess it's a little faster to go back to the save point.
I think so.
It's not quite the option I was talking about, but yeah, you can just go too far here.
If you... a long time.
If you fall on the first or second ice puzzle, then I think you have to fight one trainer down there. If you fall on the third one, I believe you have to fight 2. There's also spinners. I think I remember Wartab doing that in his speedy.
Really?
Omega Ruby, yeah.
The one I usually did is the
Thing that
Light
you
Girl,
did.
where I just go up too early here. Yeah. I hit her several times already.
My Alpha Sapphire PB hits the camper that you have to pass 4 times in Winona's gym. I like stopped in front of her waiting for her to spin, and then I just started to run.
Yeah. There's a Calpis. I feel like I might be able to surf Sea King without rain.
Yeah. Hold on, let me see. Oh. Yeah, I have no idea. You're not ever supposed to have Mystic Water and...
Yeah, you're supposed to have Burst
special.
The special attack.
Simply because this Love Disc is like a range if you don't have, you know, like, plus Nature 24.
Yeah.
18.
You want the Persim because the Love Disc there has Sweet Kiss, which we saw.
Right.
And with 31 IV neutral speed, you actually speed tie, so.
It has
But
Swift
actually,
Swim,
it has Swift Swim, so it doesn't...
Oh, it has Swift Swim.
Yeah.
Omega Ruby Brain.
Our own triggered rain.
You definitely can surf Celio, I know that.
Want to try it for the fans?
Maybe I'll just try it, yeah. Why not?
Why not?
I mean, the worst thing that could happen is that he puts up rain again.
Yep.
Okay, easy.
Nice.
Don't have to go for Origin Pulse. Inaccurate move. This is probably just third place.
Yeah.
Gotta be, yeah.
Nice and easy.
Yeah, well, it's just, like, worse for Kyogre for many reasons. Like, the coverage is not there with Groudon. You can outspeed the Love Disc if you just get 31 speed, and you only have to set up 1 time.
Mm-hmm.
And you also don't get hit hard because you have Drought, so.
So all we have left to do is Victory Road in E4.
Mm-hmm. We just got Waterfall on last HM, which will allow us to get to Victory Road.
Victory Road actually has a pretty high number of trainers compared to some other games in the series. Not as high as Gen 4, but
Yeah.
you still have, 5 or 6 fights, I think it is.
Yeah, 4 fights and then Wally, so 5.
4 fights in Wally, okay.
Another thing that's potentially worth noting about Alpha Sapphire that is, we think, a little bit of a time save, is if you teach Surf to Kyogre, you get this little like custom sprite for Kyogre when you're surfing. We as the community think that it's probably faster than the standard sprite of surfing. So you make up a little bit of time there. It's not by much. It's really hard to tell, but...
Should catch a Sharpedo. Teach that, sir.
That's another animation?
It does, yeah.
Cool.
And that one is actually faster.
Third one is Wailmer, right?
I think Wailmer's the other one, yeah.
Okay.
There's a custom animation here, too. Just kind of interesting. I don't think I actually lose their save time, but...
Time for the first Pokemon Center of the run.
Only took us 2.5 hours.
Yeah, so we're gonna deposit everything except for Marshtomp. I want to keep Marshtomp in there, but not heal it. By the way, if you drag a Pokemon into the PC and then take it out, it'll be fully healed. So, the common thing you'll see in Pokemon games is instead of talking to Nurse Joy, you'll do a PC heal instead. Took this long to get here. Just talk about that.
Yeah. It's almost always faster to do it that way, but here we have to because we purposely don't want the Marshtomp to get healed.
Yeah. Because there's 2 sets of double battles in Victory Road, and if you only have 1 Pokemon alive, then you'll have to fight them.
You can dodge one of them, but the other one is mandatory.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you can surf around it, that's right, I forgot.
Yeah, you can surf around.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense. Think about that.
Alright, so bite the bullet here. You're always slower than this Frost last hit. Usually will confuse Ray. You kind of just have to hit through. Okay, perfect.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. Probably the last time we're going to be hitting through confusion on this run.
Hopefully.
Can't imagine there'd be any other situation where I do that.
Yeah, I had a run where it was like super close to my target time for in this game, and the character I got was not very good. It was minus special attack, but it like got through like pretty much every like luck barrier that there was, including those confusions. Like that character wouldn't work. Hopefully this one can do the same. It's off to a good start.
How was the Kyogre on the record?
I think it was just double neutral 31. I don't remember the exact nature.
It was wax. It's not that important.
Again, it doesn't really matter that much. There's some origin pulses you can go for that save some time, that are also ranges sometimes. Because I was so far ahead at that point, I kind of opted out of most of them. So it didn't really end up mattering what my Kyogre was. I was always going to just play safely.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, your Wallace fight did not go very well at all. And neither did... Well, you did a... sort of like a safety strat for Glacia that we'll get to later.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to do it this time just because I want to show it off.
Yeah.
But for now, these trainers are actually like kind of difficult for most folks. Kyogre's power is just like unbelievable right now, so you just kind of one-shot everything with Mystic Water Drizzle Surf.
Groudon actually struggles a little bit with some of them. Like, not in a dangerous way, but just wasting turns. You have to X attack on the Hitmontop fight. This Sock coming up here is going to be... That's one of the double battles you can skip. The Sock coming up here is usually like a 2-shot. So it's just, you know, Kyogre just slowly saves time over Groudon.
With Kyogre, we're actually slower than the Sock, but is not really dangerous. The biggest damage it can do is Retaliate, which probably does like 20% or something. Pretty negligible. Endure instead. Unlucky.
Yeah, and things go right, we don't hit an optional, then that's the last trainer before our rival wall.
Punished. Dang. That was so silly. I handled that very poorly, but it's fine. And the other double battle is going to be coming up soon.
Yep, this one. Yeah, if a spinner like spins a certain way, then you can just like do 2 passes in one. You really take advantage of how slow Aura spinners are. The other cases are like in Seafloor Cavern and in the Psychic Gem, which
Yeah,
I think
that's about it.
You did in this run both times.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was mentioning the origin pulses that you could potentially do. You can save a setup turn on this fight if you opt to only do 1 Calm Mind. And origin pulse the Mega Gallade. But it's only 85% accurate and it can really pack a punch if you miss it, so. We'll definitely not opt to go for that here.
Yeah, and something about this generation, so slight spoilers for like 10 seconds from now when we see it.
Not supposed to.
Oh no, you're right. I forgot about your eye requirement.
But yeah, there's the final Pokemon on this fight's a Mega Gallade, so Mega Evolution. Generation 6 Mega Evolutions, the speed does not change on the same turn that you Mega Evolve. So the Gallade would be faster than us with Mega, but because the speed doesn't go into effect on turn 1, we can actually outspeed it here. If we had worse speed, we would actually need to X-speed. Or if this was Generation 7. But luckily it's not.
We did learn recently, me and Tucker, that it does update the speed for Electro Ball purposes on turn 1. So you will do less damage with Electro Ball if you
Interesting.
attack turn 1.
It was relevant in our Billy ult main.
Electro
Ultra
ult
Plus.
main.
They did fix that in Gen 7, I believe. Where the speed does update on the same turn. That also happens with like just like double battles, I guess, where like if you were to like modify the speed of one Pokemon, then like the turn order will still go like as it started on the turn. Yeah, it's just like the quirk of that like affects a lot of things.
So I'm bringing Latias here. You don't normally need to bring Latias. I'm just bringing it as a safety measure. And also, little other helping thing, on Champion, Skarmory has a chance to go for spikes if you have another Pokemon in your party that is alive. And so, as a result, you can potentially get faster champs that way. But the downside is it's going to be another entry in the Hall of Fame, which I don't really care about all that much. If this was early 2022 or earlier, it would be a bigger deal because the timing has since changed since then. And before, we used to watch the 10-minute long credits and then die to the Brendan fight that is afterwards. And so as a result, you would need to kill 2 Pokemon in that case. So it wasn't an option back then.
Yeah, before the rule changed, the runs were about like 10 minutes slower because there's 10 minutes tacked on. Because your game doesn't actually like, if you were to like do the Brendan fight, then afterwards like you don't need to do any inputs to have the game like reset on its own. So I guess like that's what people went with. Like the post credits, like the actual end of the credits. Anyways. Here's Sydney. I don't like this fight for one reason mainly.
We're good.
It's if Mightyena kicks Sucker Punch, then you can die to the shift tree that comes after. Yep. But as long as that doesn't happen, it's all good.
This is like the second grass type Pokemon we've seen in the run.
Honestly, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, so kind of like on the Wallace fight where our rain set up the Swift Swim for the Love Disc. In Omega Ruby, the sun sets up Chlorophyll for that shift tree, so that can be relevant sometimes.
We didn't get Spiky Shield from that tech turn, which means we're going to have rain for this Sharpedo, so this will die. Otherwise, we may have had to... I don't know what you would have done, but you would have done something else. Calm Mind or Origin Pulse or something.
Yeah. Origin Pulse or...
Clean fight.
But very easy fight. Most of the fights in E4 go like this. It's just, you just kill everything.
Ideally, you don't have to open your menu until Champ.
Yeah. Phoebe's up next. Phoebe's one of the only Pokemon that I know that just has a completely clean fight here. And that's because the lead here is Dusclops. And Dusclops has a move called Curse. And if you just kill the Dusclops turn 1, you have no chance to get that, obviously. And if you get Curse, it can, like, lose a lot of time.
Yeah.
So you really want to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah.
In
go ahead.
in Omega Ruby, the fight here is to give Groudon the red orb so that it can Primal Revert. become a fire type, and you have to have land and overheat 90% to win. But if you do miss, then first comes down, and then the fight gets pretty ugly.
It's like the only real way to die with Groudon in the E4 is to miss the overheat.
Oh, yeah, by the way, there is like a Easter egg. There's like a ghost girl that appears on one of the Theos before PB.
Oh my gosh.
No, I didn't happen. I think for PB purposes, you do have to like Origin Pulse one thing.
Really?
So that you don't run out before Glaciate. Yeah, so like I would do it on Dusknoir.
I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, because there's 2 pressure pokes. Yeah.
Yeah, Dusknoir dies to Origin Pulse outright. If you miss it, it's not that big of a deal. You just like it can't really do much to you.
I like Origin Pulsing this thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should be the only Origin Pulse in the run. This will typically fake out, so we're gonna lose a turn there.
Yeah, there is a strategy in Omega Ruby that I don't think anyone does anymore, but was popular for a time, where you would actually not red orb on this fight. You'd pick up another set of Persim Berries, equip one of the Persim Berries, and basically go for 50-50 that Dusclops uses Confuse Ray instead of Curse. And it's one of those, like, half the time you save 15 seconds, the other half of the time you lose 15 seconds over red orb.
Yeah. I actually do have it in an alternate strat in my notes.
Yeah.
So like it can save a lot of time if it goes well, for sure. Like if you just get Confused Ray on the Persim Berry, you just like it's a free fight. You just win.
Only thing
So
you
this
can do
fight-
for this fight is a...
Yeah, so you can, we mentioned before, you can Blue Orb for this fight and Primal River it. And what that does is it makes it so that Glalie can't put a Pale, so you can freely set up on that. You will have to stall out Light Screen, but the idea is you don't want to give Wall Rain a turn if you don't have to. Because every turn you give Wall Rain, it can Sheer Cold you and kill you. But because of the potential of Hail, we lose our Rain if it hails. Hail is really slow. You want to just kill Glalie as fast as possible, and you just bite the bullet and you give Wall Rain some turns while you set up, and you hope you don't get Sheer Cold, basically. So this fight can definitely be scary at times.
Like they have bad special attack. But, you know. And speed, even. Like, the speed makes it so that you have to set up an extra time on Warren, which is the main threat. Defense.
Oh my god, it's slower than Glalie.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
In this
dang.
case, you probably should have done the slower setup, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
got lucky anyway, so now you're doing the fast setup. Yeah, Surf, Combine, X Speed, Surf. And hopefully you don't get Sheer Cold, which is... Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Okay. Well, we're getting
Probably not getting
Body
Sheer Cold this
Slam.
turn. Yeah.
this turn, so yeah.
Okay.
No. Please get through. Oh no.
Oh no.
This is just adding turns.
This is so bad.
Yeah, every
One.
turn here, you have to heal.
There's the rain. Oh boy.
Every turn here, you... Oh yeah, you have to go another one. You have a chance
Oh
to
my
see...
goodness.
Oh my goodness! Well, you can XP here. You can
30%
see...
barrel.
You can see Sheer Cold, the move Sheer Cold. But, Sheer Cold is very
Should I Origin
inaccurate.
Pulse this?
It's 34% at this time.
I don't know. I don't
I guess,
think
because it'll kill.
Okay.
Alright.
Alright, we're good. We're good.
Ow.
God,
Oh
special
my
strat.
Gosh.
Yeah, that does work. Wait,
Yeah, I totally forgot that I was slower than Glalie. So That could have gone much worse than it did, honestly.
Also definitely could have surfed, just straight up. Because that surf would do more than, or the same as that first roll. That first roll was fine.
I mean, it was like kind of just on half exactly. I wasn't confident.
Yeah, that's fair.
Probably don't need to heal for this, but...
Anyway.
This will be the last time you menu for the entire run. Ideally, I guess. No, you can't die to this fight. It's just not possible. Drake's kind of a breeze. Steven's pretty easy. Yeah. Glacier's kind of the last, like, hard fight.
Especially if you have Latias with you, so Champ is most of the time really free. And I think it's only 4 seconds he loses on Hall of Fame.
Yep, 4 seconds.
But
Especially if you don't misclick a move on Glacier.
You didn't have to do it like that.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh.
oh god.
So yeah, I mean, all these Pokemon are dragon types. 4 of them are 4 times weak to flying, ice, sorry. And the 5th one, you 2-shot, and all it can do is surf. Usually it just picks Yawn, which you just kill it the next turn anyways, and you win the fight, so it doesn't do anything. Altaria does very little to you. I'm slower than Altaria, that's cool. Doesn't actually matter then, so.
Yeah, and this fight can be a little annoying in Omega Ruby just because Groudon's a physical attacker and obviously doesn't have a move like Ice Beam. You're really dealing with like Smackdown or Rock Tomb as your best move for some of the levitating Pokemon. So you kind of have to deal with it. You get Intimidate from Salamence. Also, Altaria likes to use Cotton Guard, which buffs its defense by 3 stages. So it's just... This fight is so much faster in Alpha Sapphire than it is in Omega Ruby.
Yeah, it's night and day.
Yeah.
For Groudon, it's like you can even like lose if you don't have perfect attack. Yeah, because of the range on Salamence.
I mean, you can always set him extra time.
Oh yeah. Which is
Frozen thawed out.
The classic.
Why couldn't I have frozen the next Pokemon?
Yeah, the next Pokemon's like the best freeze in the game.
If I had a nickel for every time that I frozen and unthawed the next Pokemon, I'd have 2 nickels, which is weird that I have 2 nickels, but you know. Pretty funny.
I'm not sure
This
how fast Skarmory is, but I might actually be slower than this outright. I think it's like low 90s or something, which is about what I have. Again, doesn't really matter as long as we XP it at some time in the setup. But
oh yeah, you need to for Metagross. You're slower than base Metagross. Metagross has... It's just like you need to go X speed for it if you're slower, because it has Gig Impact.
yeah.
And it Mega Evolves, so it has a multiplier of Tough Claws as its ability. It does like pretty much like 80%, I would guess.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're almost never going to actually be full health because there are 2 Pokemon that have Sturdy during the fight. So you're pretty much, even after your setup, you're probably still going to take damage from the Aggron. Unless you get a lucky freeze.
What was I gonna say?
Ice Speed.
I don't remember it, dang it. I am faster.
I guess you only have to go +2.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Antico Toxic as well. That's... wow.
2 nickels in this run. Alright. Yeah.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, as much as my like perfect special attack is like really cool and all, The war speed is hurting me more than the special attack is helping me, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's
So, like, yeah, like missing all these speed thresholds is like really annoying.
it'd be great to just have 2 setup turns, but didn't get there with the speed.
Did you even get a spikes?
I got 2.
You did, yeah.
You did? Okay, I wasn't paying attention. Missed it.
I think I can actually surf that, but... Yeah, I can't really see how I lose this.
Stone Edge crit.
Oh boy.
I don't even think
One
that does
thing I can do
Freeze
is because my special attack is good, I was able to skip a Calm Mind, and so I can just surf the Metagross without having to Origin Pulse it.
Yep.
So that saves something, whether you want to call it risk or time. Kind of saves both, I guess. But we should be in the clear here. After we're done, time's gonna stop when we get the splash for Welcome to the Hall of Fame, and when that fades out, we're done. This Metagross does have Bullet Punch. We're nowhere near in range to die to it, so not worried here.
That's a critical here?
Nope.
Okay, no. Doesn't matter.
That is Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, 80%.
Hope you all enjoyed the run. It's one of the runs of all time. That's
Yes.
all I got.
It's
summary.
pretty fun. I
It's
hated
fun.
mine.
It's fun. Boras is probably the best 3DS game for beginners to start with. So if you're looking to start speedrunning Pokemon, I would definitely recommend these games for sure.
It's a really good length for one of the later gen Pokemon games. Once you start getting into Gen 6, 7, 8, your games are getting into the 4 to 5 hour range a lot of the times. But this is just under 3 hours at the top end, which is really approachable. As approachable as it can be, really, for a Pokemon run.
Exactly. Because most of them hover around this area, so it's like pretty ideal for someone who's just trying to get into it.
The only issue is the accessibility to capture your console, really.
Yeah. Doesn't help that 3DS production is slowing down now.
If you are looking to get into it, it's probably like $200 service. You get patch cards
coming up
installed.
here. Alright, and... time.
GG.
GG.
Awesome run, Headbob. Yeah, any other shout outs from you and the commentators?
Yeah, I mean, definitely just shout out to 3DS Discord. I don't know if anyone has a link to it, but
I can
3DS
get it,
Discord. Any of all the Pokemon speedrunning Discords, they're all really great people. Almost all of them are just completely willing to help you out if you're trying to get started with something. Even if you just want to like hang out, not do any runs, just meet whoever's there. Everyone's very nice and approachable. So yeah, couldn't recommend it enough. I've been speedrunning for now, I think almost 6 years. And I've had a blast ever since. So Pokemon, can't recommend it enough. Just very fun speedruns.
Yeah, everyone. I was just gonna say everyone should make sure they follow Headbob. This man has the record in every single 3DS main.
And everyone, make sure to follow Etiquette as well if you haven't.
Yeah,
somehow.
like
Yeah.
no. I'm saying like Headbob absolutely swept the 3DS games over the last couple years.
This guy's
it's
talent is insane.
truly impressive.
Yeah, I'll point out too, if you're watching on Twitch live right now, all you have to do is hover over Headbob's name in the title, and then you can just press a button and you're following. You don't have to lead the stream. You can follow him that easily. He streams a lot of 3DS and other Pokemon speedruns, so definitely check him out there. Any other shout outs from the commentators? You can also follow all the commentators on Twitch as well. They all stream.
yeah, please follow Etiquette, Tucker the Rat, Ekman Larson, all very good speedrunners. They stream pretty often. I mean, yeah, it's just a great group here. And there's a lot of other great people in the Discord. So it's just, I don't know, it's just a great experience. Thank you very much for GDQ for having me on. Etchy for hosting. Very much
Thank you for
appreciated.
being here. Yeah, I'm glad we got to show off Alpha Sapphire here on the GDQ Hotfix. Again, we're doing a little world record recap special because Headbob did recently get world record, so everyone congratulate him on that as well. The only other thing I just want to plug one more time before we head off to the next show here. Again, we're not done for the day. There is more content. You can check out the schedule if you type ! schedule, but there is more content coming up very shortly. I just want to remind people again that GDQX is coming up soon. So !GDQX in chat. Submit to that if you're a speedrunner. That'd be awesome to get more runs in for that. Get comped for Twitch. Get a free badge for TwitchCon if you end up being a runner for it. So good incentive to go and submit. And that's going to be it for today. I'll be back with another Hotfix special on Friday. We'll be doing some Fire Emblem stuff with Kirby Master. Should be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Bye-bye.